Good morning and happy Tuesday. We're going to start this off the way I've been starting it off for weeks now, and that's with an intro from Suno. I think we're going to go with, what is it? Road of Frustration.
Hong Kong, here we go, cruising down this road. Oh no, drivers all around, messing with my flow. Entitled thinking it's just all about the show. Lane changing, brakes slamming, oh what a sight. Me, they're in their own little light, blowing through red lights, so reckless and blind. Can't they see safety is what we should find? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most entitled of them all? Tailgaters, speed demons, cutting everyone off. Got me stressed, feeling like I've had enough. Feeling like I've had enough.
Oh, yes. I feel like that a lot on the road. I watch a lot of stuff that drives me crazy. Yeah, I didn't want to yell in your ear. But I will give you the siren in your ear. Good morning, everybody, again. My name is Sean Shapiro. I am the host of this magical show called Ask a Traffic Cop. It is a show that's really just for you. It's a show that allows you to get answers to questions you might have about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And that's why we're here. If you're new, then you should follow us because we do this most weekdays. We won't be here tomorrow because I'm not going to be here, but we will be here on Thursday. Well, we'll pick it up and oh no, we won't be here Thursday either. It's today and then Friday. That's it. Yep, no show Wednesday, no show Thursday. Well, I could do a Thursday afternoon. Anyway, we'll explore that later. I could do a Thursday afternoon show, but I'm going to be off-site delivering some traffic safety presentations to some magical people who are on the road a lot and could benefit from having me say hello. Also, speaking of opportunities to say hello, next Monday, yes. Next Monday, I will be at Toronto Police Headquarters for the Police Week event that's taking place there. I think it starts at 11 o'clock. I'll have more information going out on that shortly. But yeah, there'll be opportunities to come by, say hello, see what's happening. We're going to live stream from there, so that's going to be exciting. Come by and say hello. Again, I'll have more information coming up soon. In the meantime, let me talk to you about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Yes, those magical officers who go out and try and change driver behavior one ticket at a time. They are not the warm and huggy police. They are the ticket issuing police, and for good reason. Tickets do change behavior. Not for everybody, but they do change behavior more often than not. It certainly worked for me when I was a young man. I got my license at 16. Like the day I turned 16, I had my learner's permit. It was called a 365. There was no graduated licensing back then. And yeah, a ticket for, I know I got a stop sign ticket. I know exactly where I was when I got it. Those kind of things change your behavior. You don't want it to happen again. It was embarrassing. It was expensive. My parents were not impressed. Yeah, I changed my behavior. Now, is it going to change a grown man's or person's, behavior? Hopefully. And if not the shame of being caught for doing something stupid, then it is the shame of having to pay more insurance premiums or the fact that you lose a day of pay dealing with it all. Listen, it's all avoidable. You can just choose not to engage in behavior that's not legal. And we're focused on these behaviors. We're looking for the folks who are choosing to speed, choosing to drive aggressively, distracted, or impaired, because we know that those particular behaviors lead to serious injury and death more often than not. And it's all about life. We love life. We want people to live, to be happy, healthy, and safe. And there are people who make decisions behind the wheel of motor vehicles, throwing caution to the wind. And guess what? Those people are working directly against our initiatives of making the place safer. So to those people, we say, please get in line. It's not hard. You're not that important. You can slow down. You can plan better. You can leave ahead of your regular start time. Like if you need a half an hour to get there, don't leave with a half an hour because then you feel rushed. Leave with an hour. Get there 15 minutes early. Early is on time. On time is late. Late is unacceptable. That's a police thing we've been saying since I started. Well before I started, I'm sure, 24 years ago. But the fact remains that if you don't do stuff like that, like leave yourself in pressure situations, trying to avoid looking bad, well, then you probably will do a lot better. You'll be relaxed. You'll catch up on your best podcasts or an audiobook. I love audiobooks when I drive and podcasts. I learn so much. I do. Languages. I'm working on a bunch of stuff and things. So if you're out and about in the city of Toronto, you may be finding these wonderful, magical, spectacular officers in 22 Division and 53 Division. Those are neighborhoods like Etobicoke, West Mall, Islington, Queensway, Etobicoke in general. Then we've got Lawrence Park, Mount Pleasant, Leaside, Thorncliffe Park, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. That's my shtick. That's what I say. If you're watching, you are probably on a channel that is being broadcast to by us. It makes sense, right? Right up here, you'll see that we are on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and, of course, X, formerly known as Twitter. And you can now actually engage with us on Twitter. Very few people actually do. We get lots of people who watch, but not many of them know that if you click on the chat, the actual live stream, bring it up, you can enter your questions into the chat window, and then we'll get it on screen. And if you're watching, because I see a whole bunch of people watching right now, if you send me a message, say hello, I'll put you on screen. You can test it out. You can see proof positive that it works. It really does. But join the conversation. This show is so much better when you're talking to me because then I'm talking to you back. If you're on Instagram, I can tell you right now that it's better when you're not on Instagram. Not only will you have a little window on Instagram that you can't make bigger, you could go over to any of the other platforms and get a higher priority in being seen. Now, there's not a whole lot of people, because I don't think anybody uses Instagram. As I look over to the Instagram window, I don't understand Instagram. We've got over 10,000 people watching, like subscribe to us on Instagram, following us. But the live thing just doesn't pop the way it pops on other platforms. So youtube.trafficcop.ca to go to our YouTube channel. I think that's the best experience next to TikTok is good. It's great. We have a huge audience on TikTok and we love you. But in terms of ensuring that it all works, we rely on technology to get your comments over. And YouTube, frankly, works better. But you should follow us everywhere and be wherever you're happiest engaging with us. If you are on TikTok, please tap the screen until your fingers go numb. It really helps us out to show that people should be watching us. And I'm tapping right now from my VoiceOver Cop account. Yes. And somebody says that they have a lot of pigs. They're sending pig emojis, so I assume that they identify as some sort of barnyard animal. But all kidding aside, if you're trying to get a rise out of me, I'm a traffic cop. I have no feelings. I do podcast though, and we have a podcast that is TPS Traffic Jam, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. AATC, the Ask a Traffic Cop podcast, is really just this live stream downloaded and then uploaded over to Spotify, which then distributes it over across all of your favorite podcasting apps, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, wherever you want to watch or listen. Now, I think Spotify is the only one that takes the video feed, but here's the deal. If you're driving your car, you don't want video. You want the audio so you can catch up on stuff, listen to what we've been talking about, and doing it legally and safely, because legally you can't watch while you're driving. That's a $615 ticket with 3 demerit points and a 3-day suspension on conviction. And if you are on your car or in your car, you're not on Wi-Fi, which means you are actually burning your data. And data, everything's expensive these days. Why would you want to waste your data? That is my question, my friend. That's what I want to know. Okay, let's get into the chat and see who's here. We got Brandon. Good morning, Sean, and all the great people. Let's have a great day. Thank you, Brandon. Much appreciated, and same to you. Kayla says, I'm back. Had a meeting all morning yesterday. I also have one at 11 o'clock, so it's a hard stop at 11 o'clock for him. But good to see you. And, we have Dr. Diana, the Mobility Med Clinic. I'm trying to read really small fonts over here. That's what it is. The CA is actually a flag. See, when I look at it, anyway, rabbit hole time. The icon shows up on the screen, but it doesn't show up on my feed. She says, my lovely podcast. Well, thank you. I don't think I've ever heard of it referred to as lovely, but I appreciate the love anyway. Brandon says, my Mustang was rear-ended by a person, my rear cam. I'm assuming it means you have a rear camera and you got the recording. That's good. Sorry that you were in a collision. That's terrible. Give me a hit with the rest of your questions so we actually get into it. Paul says, good morning, Sean. Good morning, all. We have Kal-El. Kal-El? Are we talking, is this a Superman reference? Am I going down the wrong side? Is that just your name? Talk to me. Let me know. I really want to know what's going on. Can a police see your driver's record when they run your plates? We can see the registered owner's driver's record. We can't see someone who's not associated with the vehicle, but when we pull you over, then we ask you for your information, and then we do look to see what's going on there. Greg Marshall says, good morning. What do we got here? Stop Anti-Semitism Today says, good morning, Sean, with hearts and smiley faces. I love the emojis. Emma says, good morning. Emma messaged me after yesterday's live stream because she had finally recovered from the laughing fit that ensued as a result of somebody's username being read aloud. It was quite funny. I clipped it actually and sent it to everybody that I know. I thought that was pretty funny. Not that I want to repeat that, but it was very funny. And I don't even think it was an intentional gotcha. I think it just happened to be that some people have some very creative usernames on TikTok, and I try and read usernames, but now I will read them, sound them out in my head, and then repeat them, changing my process. Can the police see if you don't? Sorry, the police. Kalel wants to know: can the police see if you don't or do have insurance on a vehicle? Read that aloud to yourself and see if it makes sense to you. I mean, I get what you're saying. It's just I read it and it messed me up. So we can see, based on Ministry of Transportation records, if it's being confirmed and it's within a 15-day period. So we may not see accurate information, which means if we don't see confirmation, we're going to investigate, because it's a very high likelihood that you do not have insurance. So it's not definitive. We still investigate. And that's why people say, well, how come you got to ask us for that? It's on the system. Just look at it over there. I'm just making a voice that sounds like how I would. Anyway, moving on. So we still investigate. And I actually call insurance companies to confirm status of an insurance policy, because it could have been canceled today. It could have been canceled last night. And it's what you are driving with today that matters. So people call and say, I'm going to put the insurance on it tomorrow. Like, there's all sorts of funny business. We have up to 3 years to lay charges in relation to insurance, which people find shocking. But if I pull you over today, I write it down, I call your insurance next month, next year, and I ask them what the status was on the day that I pulled you over, I can still come over to your house and charge you for that original offense. And by the way, $5,000 to $25,000 fine, up to 6 months in jail for driving a motor vehicle on the road with no insurance, or even permitting somebody else to drive it on the road with no insurance. You own the car, it's not insured, you loan it to your brother, your friend, your cousin, your neighbor, no insurance, they get pulled over, they don't get the ticket, you get the ticket. And it's not fun. Okay, here's Brandon with the rest of the message. My Mustang was rear-ended by a person on their phone. My camera caught the collision. The officer looked at it. The person was charged, but the officer didn't need the footage. Is this normal? I think that you should save that footage, because when it comes time to court, there might be an issue. The defense might turn around and say, well, I didn't get the footage. Give it to your insurance company. Without question, give it to your insurance company so they have it on file. Don't get rid of that footage. The officer may have not realized that they could have easily captured that. They may not have wanted to. I can't speak for what they do or don't do. I certainly would be looking for a copy of that to enter into evidence. Let's see here. Here's a silly question. Is going quadruple the speed limit in a school zone illegal? Doing a kilometer over the speed limit in a school zone or any zone is illegal. Speeding occurs at any speed over the posted limit. I know this is shocking for most who tend to travel, 5 to 25 over the limit thinking it's perfectly normal. Well, it's not. It's not legal. And you should be held responsible for it. Now, quadruple the speed limit, I would arrest you for dangerous driving. That's handcuffs and serious criminal charges. That's my deal. Now, somebody might just do the stunt, because stunt driving would be doing 40 over in a 40 or a 30. So that could still get you arrested and charged for that, giving you a 30-day suspension, a 14-day vehicle impound. And then the consequences when it gets to court are that of 1 to 3 year driving prohibition, $2,000 to $10,000 fine, and up to 6 months in jail for the first conviction. For the second conviction, the fine and the jail is the same, but the suspension goes from 1 to 3 years to 3 to 10 years. On a third conviction, it's lifetime ban. You're banned. No more driving. You're done. He gave you all the opportunities, and it's finished. Robin Lobb says, great advice. How you doing, Robin? Long time no talk. I assume we're talking about something I spoke about earlier, because that comment came in 10 after 10, and it's now 19 after 10. There is a delay for anyone who's watching going, how come he hasn't picked me yet? It's because I'm trying to stay chronological, and you're now and I'm in the history. Okay. That said, please only ask once, and also please preface your statements with Q. It allows me to know it's a question for me and not banter amongst yourselves. Also, if you're watching, please tap that screen in the TikTok to let people know what we're doing. We've got 93 people watching live. Hi, 93 people watching live on TikTok. Yeah, if you're all tapping, we'll have thousands of likes, and the stream will know, the algorithm will know that we are worthy of sharing. Let's see here. I'm just opening up a tab here that says careers, because in the not too distant future, we'll tap on and see what's going on in the hiring pool and what we're looking for. Because we're hiring people. Did you know that? We're always hiring people. Some kind of people, sometimes some jobs, different jobs. Did I open it? No, opened it too much. I just found out that this thing, I didn't know this. You could actually remove this for cleaning. Ooh. I've just been opening it enough to sip and like rinsing it, and it was all cumbersome. Now I'm actually opening it, locking it, and then drinking from it. And anyway, I'm easily entertained by my Yeti from CAA. Okay. What is this? Are you allowed to drive an enterprise car that you're not under the policy? Enterprise car? Do you mean a rental from Enterprise Rent-A-Car? Do you mean a commercial vehicle for a company that you're, I don't know what you need to clarify just for, and I will happily get into it. Tim Shallow says, good morning, Sean. Good morning, Tim. How are you? Let's see here. What are your thoughts on eating and driving? Well, there's multiple answers here. I do it. On occasion, I will eat something while I'm driving. Finger food, something easy that doesn't distract from my ability to safely operate the motor vehicle. And that's really where it's at. If you can have a bite of something, if you can steal a French fry, if you can have a sip of your coffee, your pop, your water, or whatnot, without negatively impacting your ability to operate that vehicle, it's legal. In Ontario, other jurisdictions may have laws against it. BC, I think it's distracted driving if you're eating or drinking, which I don't understand, but hey, I don't work there. Don't blame me. So, but in terms of eating and driving, I've seen people with bowls of cereal driving with their knees. That's illegal. That's careless driving. So it depends. It depends. I say it depends a lot here. Sky by Nat says, Sly. Did I say Sky? It's Sly. And here I am reading things without sounding them out. Good morning, everyone. Or is it? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to decode. R6 Fam says, Sean, are you allowed to have a personal opinion on this show, or are you restricted by the service? So I remain professional on this show, but I do share with you my personal opinions on a lot of things, like speed, for instance. I think we should have, camera and automated enforcement on every road, every red light, every stop sign should be all camera enforcement. Then police officers won't need to spend time doing the automated stuff, that could be covered by automated, and we could focus on bigger things. People complain about car theft. Well, we could do a lot more in other areas with more personnel if we weren't busy trying to keep the roads safe. And so that's a personal opinion. That's not a service opinion. That's very much a me opinion. I've never been told I can't have it. Although I'm a little bit outside of the lines when I share things like that. But I try and make it as clear as possible that is my opinion versus someone else's or a service thing. Let's see here. Are you allowed to drive? Just for repeats. Are you allowed to drive? You've answered. So Just for keeps putting the same thing up, but still not enough information. Please don't spam though. Spam is for cans of spam and nothing else. I've never eaten spam though. Yeah. And Bilalels, I don't know how to pronounce your name. That I'm even trying, but it's the barnyard animal thing. I will say that those are very cute pigs that you use to represent yourself. Okay. Ryan Pin says, stopped safely to say hi. And Tat, I'm taking you on the road today. 2-hour commute? It must be that I'm taking. Well, unless things have changed, TikTok allows you to shut down the screen and listen without violating anything. Now, Ryan Pin is a driving instructor in Nova Scotia and friend of the show, comes in all the time. So there you go. Belladonna, I just saw you pop in and say, what are the penalties for driving without insurance? $5,000 to $25,000 and up to 6 months in jail. That's the one. Okay. What do we got here? We got some, I'm assuming this is dialogue amongst yourselves because you're answering each other. Please put a Q before your question so I know it's a question. What's this? YYZ Steven says, when making a U-turn at an intersection, do you have the right of way or people making the left turn? So here's a big thing. Turning people don't have the right of way at all. The people who are, crossing through the intersection have the right of way. A turn or a U-turn must be done and must be required, or you are required and obligated to complete your move in safety and be capable of doing that before you even begin your turn. So if you are turning left or making a U-turn and cause a collision, I say cause a collision because it's your fault. You're turning, you're at fault, 100%. Even if someone runs the light, you were responsible to have waited until you confirmed that it was safe to proceed. They can get a ticket for running the light, but you will also be charged for causing that collision. Okay, what was this? Cool. This is Psycho 9614. If one is turning right and one is turning left at a multi-lane, who has the right of way? Okay. They followed up with of the way in both lanes. So here's the deal. If both have a green light, if the intersection allows for both vehicles to travel, who has the right of way when both look like it's okay to go? Whoever is turning across a live lane of traffic is the one who does not have the right of way. So the person making the right turn has the right of way in that scenario, and the person making the left turn does not. They have to ensure that the other person is clear and gone first. Now, if they have multiple lanes that they can go into as opposed to turning into a single lane, that complicates things because while both of them could go into their respective lanes, but what happens when someone goes wide? Well, here's the deal. The person making the left still has more responsibility to ensure their turn can be completed, but they can both be charged for what they did wrong. So if one person went, let's say the right turning person wanted to get over to the left lane once they made their turn and they went right into it, that's an improper turn. Or vice versa, if the person making left went into the right lane instead of their left lane, you can be charged for multiple things and play a role in a collision. And even though the fault of the collision can be put over one to the other person, everyone involved, if they broke the law, could be charged. I hope that is clear as mud. Well, I hope it's clear, but it may be clear as mud. We got Pastucci's Toronto Pasta Bar. Hi there. Well, hello, they're back. I saw your video about closing your Toronto location. I'm sad to hear it. I have not actually been to your location, but I was both excited when I heard about it and then sad when I heard that you were leaving. I only found out about you through the TikTok. That said, I'm not eating carbs very much these days. I'm trying to reduce my carbon footprint. Dre Studio says, good morning from Airside at YYZ. Where's Airside? Is that the? Okay, you got to tell me more. It sounds like the private airport, but I may be mistaken. Talk to me. Are you working there? I want to know more. Dre's a buddy of mine, but now I am perplexed. Epitome 376 says, good morning, Sean. Glad you're doing what you do. Well, thank you very much, Epitome. I am glad I'm doing what I do too, because I really enjoy it. I am happy to be here helping people get answers to the questions that they have that may not have a better source to get answers from. This is a really cool thing that the Toronto Police has allowed me to do. I say allowed because this is new. We are the biggest TikTok channel for police education in the world, which is shocking, right? 663,000 followers. We are the biggest. We're the only live streaming every day for an hour or more police service that I know about in the world. And if somebody else is doing it, please let me know because I'd love to meet the person who's as magical as we are. Anyway, thanks, Epitome. Daniel says, now everyone's asking the same question. Are you allowed to drive an enterprise car that you're not under the policy? So I appreciate that you've come over from TikTok and you've gone to now another platform, but you're still actually asking the question that I can answer because I don't know what you mean enterprise car. Do you mean a rental car? Do you mean a fleet vehicle for a company you work for? I need to know more. We got John Kurz who says, good morning. What is this? Oh, so he says, good morning. Today's plastic headlights get all faded, dulled, and pitted. Would they be considered unsafe at some point? They'd be improper if they're no longer capable of emitting a focused and beam of light that actually illuminates in front of the vehicle properly, because that's actually restricting. It's like having a tinted cover. So yeah, at a certain point, that would not certify, that would not be safe for the road, and absolutely they'd be eligible for charges. Let's see here. Brando says, good morning, Sean. Listen to Everyday Podcasts. Love the show. I love podcasts of all kinds, but I'm so glad that you like the show. Share us with your friends. Or don't share us with your friends and just know all the information and then look really cool at parties when you have answers to all their questions. That's what I do. Actually, no, I share it with everybody. I'm not a gatekeeper. No, I talk about it. And what I really want to start doing is talking about what I do on social media to other people who want to do similar things on social media and help out. So if you've got questions about doing social media stuff and things, I'd love to help you out. Maybe we'll do a side show. Let's see here. Vishal wants to know if I will act if I report someone crossing red light and I have it on my dash cam. So red light runners, magical stuff. I wish I could write tickets to everyone who does it. Sadly, I need to know date, time, location, vehicle identification, and driver identification. Just your video will not be sufficient. There are only very specific places where I can, where the owner's responsibility ticket can be issued, and those are based on the equipment capturing being the City of Toronto equipment. So you sending me that particular piece of information, unless I could absolutely identify the driver as the owner, because that's the only way that I'd be able to relate them after the fact, I couldn't lay charges. Sadly, it's very frustrating, and I know it's frustrating for you too. What you can do, and I suggest you do, if you are in the City of Toronto, go to tps.ca, you can actually report them there. Now, it will not necessarily result in charges, likely it won't, but you can create a file. Do you know what that file does? It starts the case. Yes, we put in a report that says that vehicle at that time at that location was spotted doing that thing that you did. And we can even include a link to video if you had it on YouTube or your Dropbox. And then the registered owner gets a letter from a police officer after they've evaluated everything. And it says that we saw you. Now, this report exists in our system. So let's say they get pulled over for running a red light. And the officer is questioning, should I give them a warning or should I just charge them? Now, I will charge them because running a red light is a serious offense. There's no warnings for red lights from me. But maybe somebody else was considering it because they're just really nice and, I'm not. But, they would see the report that was put in by you, and that warning would be out the window because they've got their warning already. Anyway, moving along. Thanks very much, Vishal. I appreciate your question. I also appreciate the frustration that you go through when you see people breaking the law. That is my life every day when I'm out and about in my personal car. And basically can't do nothing because I'm no longer on the road doing enforcement, but I wish I was. I mean, I'd miss you guys, but I absolutely miss making a difference on the road one ticket at a time too. We keep getting the same question from Just4, who's not paying attention to my answers. And I'm going to mute you in a second because you're not paying attention to my statement of stop spamming. Okay. Connor wants to know if past tickets expire from your record after a X particular amount of time. So the deal is that there's a permanent record, there's a police record, and then there's the record that third parties like insurance companies can see. The third parties can only see the current 3 years. That's it. Now they can keep their own files. So if you were with them for 4 years, they checked you on year one, and then on year three. Well, on year four, they would not have access to what they saw in year one, but they could have made a note. So that's how that works. For the police, we can see your entire history, as well as can any other police service who's even seeing notes we've made about you. So if we gave you a ticket, the evidence that we store in our system for the tickets lives on forever. But the insurance company can't see it, and they only see convictions, not tickets. I got a red light camera in Toronto, and I'm not even crossing the light. So this is an interesting question. Did you cross the line? Like, you can only get a red light ticket camera if you entered the intersection, even if it was an inch and even if it was a millisecond after the light changed. But if they take multiple pictures, and then those are reviewed by persons, usually former police officers, and they go through and evaluate whether or not you actually were guilty of the infraction according to their system. I have an episode of TPS Traffic Jam where I actually go into detail with the people from the City of Toronto who manage that system. So if you are interested to know more, I would suggest checking it out. You can go to YouTube to find all the old episodes, but go to it's Automated Enforcement Team, I think is the title. It's a good episode. I quite liked it. The audio is so-so, but it's a good episode. Lots of information, and it'll likely answer questions you have there. But besides the fact that you might, if what you're saying is absolutely accurate and you didn't cross the line, well, then you are probably not breaking the law and might have a defense. But I couldn't say because I can't see what you see. Raddick says, good morning to you. Doc asks, how high can I lift my truck? I believe 3 inches is the highest lift you can put on. There are rules about how high your bumper, how high your headlights can be that are outside of that. But the rule, and I'm not speaking from a chapter and verse of the HTA, but what I've been told from the MTO folks I've spoken to is that 3 inches up and is about it. And that might be a body lift rather than a suspension lift. I would speak to a mechanic, a trusted mechanic, which is what I said in the video, and people laughed like, "Who trusts mechanics?" Like, I have trusted mechanics. I believe what they say. There is also a guide, and I'd suggest you look at it. I might have it linked at ASKaTrafficCop.TrafficCop.ca. And now what that is the light truck and passenger vehicle inspection guide. It is the basis for mechanics to certify your vehicle. Well, if you lift your vehicle and it can no longer be certified because your headlights are too far off the ground or whatnot, it's going to be in there. It's legalese and gobbledygook, but it's there and you can decode it. It's not actually that hard to figure it out, but check it out. It'll allow you to figure it all out, go through section by section, and find out if your vehicle would qualify. Moving along. Hope I helped, by the way, but just 4 really needs to be banned. Mind you, this was from 17 minutes after. Now it's 36. I'm pretty positive I answered them six times from Sunday. Kathrilla says, good morning. Good morning to you. Okay, Radix asks the question, thank you for the cue. If your vehicle breaks down on the highway where only authorized tow trucks are allowed, who do you call for assistance? All right, so this is an interesting situation. The contract system involving police is not stopping you from calling your own tow truck. Unless things have changed since yesterday, and I'm not aware of this, but since January, the new tow truck laws came into place in Toronto, and the OPP has got highway designations for categories. That's if they call the police. If you call, if you call the police and the police call a tow truck, that's what I was saying, or that's what I meant to say. If you call CAA because you're broken down at the side of the road, you're entitled to wait for CAA as long as you are not blocking the roadway, and for your safety, a police officer directs you to have your vehicle moved. Now, here's a little known secret. If you have CAA and you are being told by a police officer that you must move it, call CAA and they will tell you that they will reimburse for your tow. That's how that works. Now, things have gotten pretty sketchy in the towing industry recently since the Ontario government changed the rules. And I say the industry, I mean really Toronto. We had very specific rates governed by our bylaws, and those are gone now. So now they're going through some growing pains, and people are paying a lot of money for towing. That might be the best advertising to get a tow plan with a private company like Roadside Assistance. I'm not going to specifically endorse any particular company, but something that includes towing, and they'll come and boost your car and things like that. These are good things to have. I've had for sure. My grandparents had like the gold 30 or 40 year membership with some companies. I've had it since I was a kid. Locking your keys in the car, less of an issue now. I got a keypad on the side of mine because I have a Ford. It's just really convenient. And now with towing things, I'd rather just have my tows prepaid and my annual membership. That didn't work. I have to turn it this way so I can open it. Hang on. Yeah, I opened it too much. I can't get used to this lid. Maybe I should just leave it open. All right. People are stealing cars at an alarming rate. Banana Brett. Okay. What kind of car is that, Brett? I am intrigued. I want to know what kind of car that is. Anyway, the deal is that, yes, criminals are doing criminal things at alarming rates. It hasn't changed that much over the years. It's just that it's very, very brazen now. I think they say every 40 minutes in the GTA, a vehicle is stolen. I think across Canada, it's every 5 minutes. It's wild. And we're doing as much as we can do to combat that. It really also takes the buy-in from the community in that people need to do things to prevent car theft, to make their vehicles less attractive to would-be thieves. And that's everything from putting on the club-like vehicle, a block of onto the steering wheel, cables or systems that lock the brake pedal. All these things add time, and criminals don't want to get caught, so they don't want to waste time, and it makes the vehicle less attractive to be stolen. But listen, if they want it, they're going to get it. They're going to put it on a flatbed and get it. I will say this. I think it's time to bring back the old school Cobra alarm system. Yeah, it really is one of those things. Like when I was in high school, you'd walk through the parking lot, it would be meh, meh, meh. It was just constantly. It would be like on not recess, but first break, whatever it was. What was it called? Spare? Maybe it was on spare. People would just walk by, and every car would chirp in the parking lot because it would trigger the radar, and then it would start speak. There were ones that was, I think it was Cobra that would speak to you. Step back, step away from the vehicle. This vehicle is protected by a Cobra alarm system. It was really silly. But that kind of silliness that draws a lot of attention, wakes people up, it works. Now, my neighbor had their car stolen a couple months ago off the driveway. And now when we hear a car alarm, I go out on my driveway and I see every other door open and we're all out there checking. Neighborhood watch, being involved with your community, knowing your neighbors, all sorts of things that can help you. And it's funny, growing up, I knew all my neighbors. And then I went through a period of time when I didn't know anybody I lived near. And now I'm on a street where all the neighbors are tight and, say hello to each other and are friendly and stuff. So that's a good thing too. I don't really know how that impacts anything. We got Jason who says, hello, host. My name is Sean Shapiro. It says it right there on the screen. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I am appreciative of the message. But if you follow us, this is great. He says, you're awesome, and I want to help you. He says, subscribe to me, and I will support you. That sounds like I'm buying likes. I don't buy likes, but I do appreciate, and I'll check out your content. And if I like your content, I will follow you because I do support Canadian, and actually, I support content creators from around the world. If you have good content, I'm going to like your stuff because that's just how I am. I like good content. Okay. You mentioned, no, you didn't mention. That's somebody asking again about how high I can lift the truck. So we've covered that. And we've also covered, again, the same question from Just4, who wants to know this. He's not paying attention. Okay. What is this? This is Evandro, our Brazilian fan, and a recent addition to the Auxiliary Police Service at the Peel Regional Police Service. Awesome guy. I saw his graduation. I'm very proud to have been there. And he says, he's the Brazilian fan watching again. Yes, absolutely. Back to your question, a 60 kilometer an hour route. If you drive at 100 kilometers an hour or 125 kilometers an hour, the difference is only 7 minutes for the entire journey. Those 7 minutes are very expensive. Yeah, people think that speeding is a good idea because they're in a rush. And the reality is you burn more gas, you wear your brakes out faster, you run the risk, of course, of tickets and losing your vehicle's privileges, insurance. Like it's so dumb, but people don't want to learn from logic. They want to learn from experience, apparently. So we catch them all the time. Oh, you know what? This is a great opportunity. Can I pull this up without crashing everything? I don't really want to. Basically, last year, I think we wrote like 200,000 tickets, which is way down from where we used to be. But the vast majority are speeding. So the vast majority of people think they're going to just shave off a few minutes and not look bad. I can tell you that your family and your friends and your employer would all like you to get to work safely, on time, but safely. So leave 15 minutes early, you'll get there without speeding. Leave 30 minutes early, you'll get there, you'll have a nap in your car when you get there. Like just make smarter moves. By the way, if you leave earlier, you're probably going to avoid the traffic that you're trying to race through anyway. Silliness. Okay. Is Just4 still here? I'm just going to ban them in a second because I'm getting annoyed by reading all their messages. I love you all, but ask once and then stick around to get the answer as opposed to popping in and out expecting me to thing. Dodge Man Scott. Is it Dodge Man Scott? Now, I says, what about wearing a turban instead of a helmet? You can't just opt to wear a turban instead of a helmet, but in the province of Ontario, along with a couple of other provinces, practicing members of the Sikh faith are permitted to wear a turban in lieu, or they wear a turban. They can't wear a helmet because they wear a turban. So because of that, they're allowed to ride without a helmet. And this bugs people to no end because how come he gets to do it, not me? Well, when you put your life into a situation where you invest into a particular faith that then dictates how you do certain things, maybe the government will give you the same benefit. But until then, they can do it and you can't. At the end of the day, is it a good idea? For safety, it's not, but it's about inclusivity and allowing people to have access to transportation, whether it's fun transportation or just more affordable transportation, and not excluding them because of their faith. They don't get to choose that, despite what people will say. Okay. Farmer Ham Gaming wants to know about lifting the truck. We talked about it a few minutes ago. Check out the 3 inches is generally the maximum that I've been told. I've not found it anywhere else as thou shalt not lift your truck more than this. However, there are standards. It's available in the light truck and passenger vehicle guide of Ontario. That's what you can either fail or pass certification for. But this changed a number of years ago. You now have to you can't lift. I think it is 3 inches. Yippee-ki-yay, great movie reference. It's up to the officer's discretion to any offense. Oh, are you asking or you're telling? The truth is that, officer discretion always comes into play. We talked about this. There's just 4 again. Akil and I put greetings and dad jokes. Did you get them? Where'd you put them? If you put them in the comments, I did not get them because they were not there at the beginning of the show when I jumped in. Okay. Is there any way to overturn a license ban? Depends on why you were banned and how you were banned. If you were suspended, you're suspended. No, there's no overturn. If you were impaired, you're suspended. There's no appeals process. You lost your privileges because you done something that was not legitimate. Now, even if like roadside administrative suspensions, they happen at that moment. There's no appealing it. It's done. When you talk about further consequences when you go to court, if you're found guilty or not guilty, if you find a loophole and you aren't convicted, if there's technicalities that get you off of that ticket, that is separate. It doesn't change the fact that your suspension that you've already experienced was experienced. What is a cop's salary? That's Cloud Flying 95. And I'm so glad you asked because it gives me a perfect segue to talk about the fact that we are hiring. Toronto Police Service is looking for people who want to make a difference in their community. They want to do awesome stuff and things. And you know what? You can do that by joining and giving back. It is a life of service. It is a magical life. And let me tell you all about it. You can find this out, by the way, by going to www.tps.ca/careers and all of the information about all of the different jobs that we're currently looking to fill and some that we're not currently looking to fill, but you can get an idea. And this is a website, if you're interested in becoming a member of our service, check regularly because things change. We'll have a posting come up. It'll be up for 15 days or so. It'll go down. If you don't check it regularly, you'll never know, and you may have missed your opportunity to enter the most amazing career that has ever been. Yes, I'm talking about police constable. If you'd like to join our police service, we are hiring police officers now. We're putting through classes. We have the budget. It is time to jump. Now, when I first wanted to join, I was ready in 1999, and guess what wasn't ready? The Toronto Police, because they had a hiring freeze on. So I joined what was available, which was an auxiliary police constable role, which is a volunteer position. Anyway, the road obviously did lead me to a paid position. Actually, later the same year, I became a special constable, a court officer. But it took a lot longer. Had I just been paying attention and applied when it was available, I would have been a police officer earlier. But I had a fantastic run. I loved being a court officer. I loved being a auxiliary constable. Great volunteer opportunity if you're looking for such a thing. Let's see here. Salary and benefits. While you are training, $68,864. Once you graduate, get your badge and your gun, you're on the road being trained by an officer, a field training officer, your coach officer. Yeah, then you're making $76,500. Third class constable, which happens about a year later, is $87,476. A year later, $98,409, and a first-class constable, which is someone who has reached the end of that training, because it's all one sort of umbrella of training. You don't graduate if you don't do well. You don't get the bump and pay. Then it becomes just shy of $110,000, so $109,338. And what I've been told by folks who have been paying attention, I have not been paying attention, that the salaries of police officers are going up again. There are contract negotiations all over the province, and other services have gotten to the point where they're going to be making $130,000 over the next 5 years. It'll go up incrementally. I don't know where we are or where we'll be because it hasn't finalized, but that does go up every once in a while. And aside from the fact that it's good money, there's benefits, and it's a great job. You know, you do it for the job, not for the money. I got to say, if you're joining this job for the money, you'll never work so hard, see your family less, and have messed up, eating habits and sleeping habits. So there are prices to pay, but I don't want to dissuade you. It is the best job in the world. And if you want more information, I suggest contacting a recruiter after you investigate this page. Now, that's police constable, and that's what you asked about, but I'm going to talk about special constable. It's different than when I first joined. It was called court officer back then. We were really focused on courthouse security and prisoner transportation. We still do that, but we also have officers who are bookers at police stations. They assist with the prisoner processing at the station. We have community officers who actually go out, take reports, and help canvass and do all sorts of things. So the job has grown significantly. Parking enforcement officer, they are not currently hiring, that as far as I know, but this is what Aaron Urquhart does. See, that's Aaron right there. Fantastic opportunity. Someone who wants to work outside and help keep the city moving. I got bored in courts for a period of time. I wanted to be outside. I was tired of working in the cell block, never seeing the sun, getting there when it was dark, leaving when it was dark. Well, I wanted to get out on the road, so I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring for parking enforcement officer. Communication operator sounds a lot like what it is. It is the 911 dispatch and call taking side of the house, the people who answer the call to get you help when you need it. They are magical people who don't get the credit they deserve. However, they will be joining me on live streams and podcasts soon, so we'll be able to get you some more information about what they do and the amazing work, truly the amazing work that they do. To know that the person on the other end of the phone call, when you call 911 for help, is one of them, and they're there to help you. And without them, what are you going to do? Like they go through a lot, but they do such amazing work. Auxiliary officer, civilian roles. This is what I want to talk about. Maybe you don't want to wear a uniform. Maybe you're not interested in walking around and driving around or responding to emergency calls. But there's other jobs available. Hey, if you're a senior communications advisor material, or you know someone who might be, check it out. It's there. And the job is, the job is right here, 111,193 to 128,726. And it talks all about what the responsibilities are in here. I think you need 6 years of education in the role, or 6 years of experience and lots of education. But that might be someone you know. And they get to serve their community doing what they were trained to do. Intermediate technical analyst, AV, financial planner, general counsel, lawyer, communications operator, developer in the digital team. These are the 6 positions currently listed, but they change all the time. There was 10 last week, so what are you waiting for? Come join an amazing organization. Really, Toronto Police, I've been here 24 years in various roles. This is a career with many jobs. What I started at as an auxiliary volunteering, then simultaneously also working as a court officer. So I had 2 different uniforms, then trading them in to become a police constable. Even as a police constable, I've worked in 12 Division. I've worked in coming to traffic services. I was a traffic officer at 12 after working PRU. Then coming down here, I worked PRU, which is collision response. Then worked in the motor squad, went down to the Criminal Investigation Bureau, the detective office, then went back to the motor squad. I had all sorts of different jobs, and now I'm in media relations, which is different. It's different. I never thought I'd be here, but I get to talk to all of you every day, and that is something I really enjoy. All right, let's get back into moving along. So what's a cop's salary? I think we've really answered that. What is the process of becoming police in Ontario as an international student? Another good question. To be a police constable in Ontario, you must be a citizen or a permanent resident. So you cannot be an international student. You can, however, become a member of a police service in other roles. I think special constable will accept you, parking enforcement officer will accept you, civilian roles. So you could transition to something here if you have the legal authority to work. But we don't hire part-time. So if you're in Ontario, if you're an international student and you're not here on a long-term basis, you may not be able to work here because you're in school. But I couldn't speak to that. Best thing to do is go to tps.ca/careers, talk to a recruiter for all that information. What is this? Oh, Greg says, I found a 1% difference after 4 hours with my Yeti cup versus Tim's cup. No way. You're saying that the Tim's cup maintains temperature? Okay, I brew this coffee at 4:45 in the morning. It comes out of a thermos and goes into this thermos. Like it's a thermos brew cup. Goes into this, and I drink it, and it's hot as I poured it at 2 in the afternoon when I'm going home, if I haven't finished it. Like, I am shocked at how well it's working. Maybe your Yeti is damaged, because mine is working. It's a vacuum seal, so if you break that if you drop it, it can be damaged. but it's still hot. It's hot and it's hours old. Okay. We got here Weston, PA Ham. Oh, it says amateur radio. So there's your call sign. Awesome. Love it. Being in the U.S., some of this is interesting. I'm glad that some of this is interesting. Where you're in Western PA, Philadelphia. Is that, am I in that, Pennsylvania? Well, I've got my state acronyms apparently all. What is it? PA, USA, Pennsylvania. Okay. Yeah. I want to get my ham license. I haven't done it. I've been meaning to do it for only 20 years. But it's one of those things where it's been lower on my priority. And then I got to buy a radio. Do you buy a 1 meter? Do you buy a handheld? Do you buy do I need a giant antenna hanging out of my car? I don't know. Hit me up. I want to know more about ham. Okay, Michael says, and Michael, I can see from YouTube, you are a rider. Hey, Sean, what's your opinion on lane splitting and gridlock traffic on a bike? I know it's illegal. Do you think it's safer for motorcycles to be within or between vehicles when majority are distracted? There's a lot to unpack here. So in gridlock traffic, if you waddle or ride up a few car lengths to avoid being rear-ended, to avoid having someone who's not paying attention drive right into the back of a motorcycle, I not only support, I endorse it, and I don't think it's illegal. It's because there's no specific charge for lane splitting. It is careless driving. It is potentially stunt driving. It is potentially dangerous drive under the criminal code, but it depends on what the officer's observing. Well, if you waddle or slowly ride 1 or 2 car lengths up for the purposes of protecting yourself from potential impact, not only can you articulate that, but it's reasonable. It's different than driving through traffic, either at slow speed or stopped, where you're just driving through to be the first one in the pack to avoid waiting. And that changes things. There are people who drive in the city and cities around the world that suck at it. There's good drivers. I'm not saying all drivers are terrible, but there's a lot of bad drivers. Otherwise, we wouldn't have collisions. A lot of people who are, like you said, distracted, possibly even the majority of them. I see the darndest things. That's the truth. So I get responsible use, not driving through. And what I see on a daily basis are riders who are just whizzing through traffic. I would absolutely charge them criminally, if not stunt, and criminally, if not careless at low speed, but depending. It all depends. So as a rider, as someone who has done it professionally and personally, there's a time for it. But there's a lot of potential risk, and that's why it's illegal. Or that's why you may find yourself being charged anyway. It's about putting people at risk, even if it is something that feels good and not. And engine heating up is the number one reason people do it, or so they say on the air-cooled stuff. This is a good one. Robbie wants to know, good morning. What are your thoughts on people that drive with their dog on their lapses? Driving with your dog, your cat, your parakeet on your lap is not distracted driving in Ontario. The charge for distracted driving is specific to handheld communication, entertainment, or screen visible to driver. And this would be careless driving or drive whilst crowded. So there's 2 different charges. Either could be appropriate. It's not safe. It's not safe for your animal, who that would get very, very dead if you were to have a deployment of your airbag. That's a thing. So you don't want that. It's not good for you, not good for them. So tethered and or crated, because you would tether the crate and crate them in the back seat, or simply tether them in the back seat is the safest way to go. Because you want to protect the animal that you love, your best furry buddy or whatever. But again, airbags aren't good for small people. They're certainly not good for animals. And they're a distraction. They prevent you from doing what you're supposed to do when you're behind the wheel of a motor vehicle, which is safely operated. Like, I've heard all sorts of excuses. It's my support animal. I need to pet it to not have anxiety. I've heard all of these things. It doesn't make it legal. It can't be on your lap. Toronto Roads, Cams, what's happening? I so much good content on your channel. I keep meaning to respond and do like stitches, but I'm stacked. I got so much stuff I got to do that I haven't been able to do it. But one day I will do some stuff with your content. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, Canadian Diaries or Canada Diaries saying the same thing again. How is it that I'm only at, these, okay. Oh, what are the penalties? We talked about that already. I already got your message. We talked about this. Are you working right now? Nav wants to know. Yes, I am. I am in the most wonderful of studios that the Toronto Police has built to allow us to do exactly what I'm doing, which is talk to you. I'm a media relations officer and social media officer. Really, it's the same thing, but I'm specifying. I speak to media, being television, radio, and journalists for print, and I speak to you through social media. And I'm an educator. I'm here to teach people about traffic law, traffic safety, and police stuff in general. And I talk about a little bit of everything. Sometimes I talk about donuts. I don't really eat donuts. It's not my thing. But I like raspberry-filled Krispy Kremes if you're ever there. Try one. They're amazing. I'm not endorsed. I'm not paid to endorse them. I don't even go to them. I just like them a lot. But I am working. I am a police officer. This is part of my duty. Do I do it on off duty as well? Absolutely, I do. If I am responding after 2 p.m., you can betcha it's on my own time. If I'm responding before 6 a.m., it's on my own time, and I'm responding a lot. So, I used to be a volunteer. I volunteer half my time now just because I like to answer questions and help people out. But definitely being paid. Okay. We got Robbie with... Talked about this. There may have been a bug that we got duplication. Okay. At what speed is considered stunt driving, and does it change when the highway speed is up to 110? Kimber, that is a very good question. So here's the deal. Speeding 40 kilometers over the posted limit, if the posted limit is under that of 80 kilometers an hour, so if it's a 70, or not that there is one, but a 75 or a 79, anything under 80, if the posted speed limit is anything under 80, 40 over gives you a stunt driving charge, or makes you eligible for one. If it's 80 kilometer an hour zone and above, then becomes 50. So 50 kilometers over the posted speed limit, if it's 80 or above speed limit, that is stunt driving. But to specifically address your question about the 110 zone, the hard max is 150. If you hit 150 anywhere, it is stunt driving. So if you're doing 40 over in a 110, that's stunt driving. But no one should ever be speeding that far, because no one should be speeding at all. Just a really cool observation. We've got 240 people watching, not including TikTok, of another 100 people roughly. So just on traffic services on X, we have 166 people watching, which is awesome. The rest are mixed between the VoiceOver Cop Twitter, traffic services, Facebook page, 14 people watching on YouTube, and then we have 3 people watching on Twitch. So we're everywhere, so that you get to be on the platform you like the most. A reminder to those amazing majority, I can say today, that are watching by way of X, you can actually ask questions. But if you ask questions as part of a comment on a post, we won't see it. You have to post your question inside the live stream in the chat window. Then we see it, then you become part of the show. And we would love for you to do that. So if everyone jumped on and said hello from wherever you are, we would know where you are, and we can acknowledge you, which is awesome. Let's see here. What is Canadian? Oh, somebody says that. Oh, so there's I love this comment, and I'll. It's not, I don't agree with it. But, they said, "Fight it in court." Oh, I think Cloudfly95 says whether you're in or out. Okay, I get the context now, but I'm against the whole fight it in court if you're actually guilty. This was in relation to a comment where they said they didn't do it. So yeah, then yeah, if you think you're innocent, absolutely fight it in court. All right. Oh, Brando says, I listen to your podcast while commuting. It keeps me calm while others are driving aggressive, scary. I'm so glad. I'm glad that not only does it keep you calm and it's a benefit to you, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. It's great. Share it with your friends. I already asked you to do that. And for everybody, if you don't already follow us, please do. We get so many people on YouTube in particular that watch our content in replay, but rarely, our followers are like 3,500, but we have so many views. We just need more people. We don't need more people, but it's nice if more people subscribe. It's validation. That's all it is. All right. Oh, I see. What's going on here? Oh, okay. Captain Jetto wants to know if it's illegal for your passengers to put their feed on the dashboard or slightly out the window. Okay. Feed is feet. I know, even though, if it's the feed, it would be interesting. But feet on the dashboard. It's arguable that it could be improper use of seatbelt, because if your feet are on the dashboard in an emergency braking situation, your passenger will slide under the belt into the footwell and then be possibly crushed and horribly injured. But it is possibly the worst thing that your passenger can do for their own safety, because when that airbag deploys at 200 miles per hour, it's going to destroy them. It's going to destroy them. Not to mention crumple zones and things will just, you will break everything. It will be life-altering, if not life-ending decision to put your feet on the dashboard or out the window. So out the window is obviously silly, because in a collision you might have things ripped off. I know, a horrible visual, but it's the truth. It's super bad. And if you Google it, you can look at some x-rays of people who have had their femurs driven through the back of the seat. Femur, the big thigh bone, driven through the back of the seat while it was exiting their body after a collision. Like, just the worst thing ever that you can do. So is it illegal? Potentially there could be charges for it. Is it smart? Absolutely not. Worst thing you can do. Where's M. Carol? She's always here. She was here earlier. Maybe she has things to do. She works. She's probably listening though, so maybe she'll respond. Is it legal to flick your lights to warn other drivers of a police car radar enforcement ahead? It's technically illegal to use your high beams in situations where you're within 150 meters of oncoming traffic, but that's not, forget about that for a second. It's immoral. It's wrong. The reason we have enforcement is to catch people who are breaking the law. What you do by high beaming them to say, hey, there's police ahead, slow down, you get them to slow down temporarily. And what happens is a block after the police enforcement, they speed up again. And then they go on to hurt somebody because they cause a collision, because they're speeding, and speeding kills. So you are specifically contributing to making roads less safe when you do that. So I would ask you not to do that. And just think, by not helping warn speeders not to speed and allowing them to get caught, you are contributing to safer roads everywhere. I mean, you do you, but you could get a ticket for improper use of your high beams or fail to lower beam. There's times when I wouldn't have a problem with you high beaming somebody, like to say that your high beams are on, like turn them down. How else do you talk to them? We need like walkie-talkies that broadcast to the cars within 5 or 10 feet from you. Could you imagine if you could just hit the button and talk to the people that were right in your area, like, hey, turn on your music, it's annoying, or change the channel, that's not that bad. I don't know, something. It was the other car. So Canadian Diaries has repeated this question throughout the live stream. I don't know if I noticed that it was the other car when you previously posted this question 400 times ago. But if it was another car, fight it. You'd have photographic evidence of that. Let's see here. Harad says, can I ask a police officer to prove something is illegal, i.e. show me the law? No. I mean, you can ask, and maybe they will, but it's not our job to educate you roadside about an offense that you were charged with. We charge you with the offense. You can do your research at home. You can challenge it in court if you don't agree with that. But when we charge you with a document that says, here's the law, and it says your name and the law you broke, it's against the law. Otherwise, there'd be no law. So, but we explain to you in as best as we can, because we're nice people, but there's no obligation for us to educate you on the law at that time. It's just not a good place to do it. Side of the road, we want to issue your ticket and get back in our car in a place of safety and have everybody moving along as quickly as possible. And an argument is not going to happen, because what you're really telling me, in how I perceive what you're saying, which may not be your intention, is that you don't agree with the fact that you did something illegal. And that's something you can challenge in court, not at the side of the road. And I can guarantee you it doesn't change anything. You're still going to get your ticket. Okay. Talked about this, talked about that. Oh, there's a lot of duplication here. I'm hoping it's a bug and that nobody really sent the same question 6 times in a row, because that would be so wrong. Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't know this, Dre. Dre says that you work at YYZ as an aircraft maintenance engineer, so I'm currently chilling airside watching my planes. That's awesome. Maybe I can come visit you at work. That sounds cool. I want to see planes too. I like planes. I like traveling in planes to, warm destinations also. What do we got here? Canadian Diaries, please stop. And I say that because you may have stopped. Can I scroll back and actually mute you from doing it? You may not have said anything recently. Sadly, it's a dialogue. It's a delay. It is a delay. You may have stopped. No, you didn't. Oh, now you're dialoguing. Here. We're just going to mute you for today because I'm done reading the repetition of your message. Okay. Oh, does it really matter if you drive with 1 foot or two? It doesn't have to be 1 foot. In fact, with four-wheel drive and rally car drivers, they very often drive with two. The problem is that they train and practice and do it all the time. If you drive with 2 feet, the problem is you might do both, right? It's not a good way to drive. You drive with 2 feet when you drive a stick shift. Like driving with 2 feet is a skill and people can use it. But if you're not a skilled driver and you use it, you might end up not skillfully driving into something. Pedal confusion, bad. So if you learn to drive with 2 feet, and that's the way you were taught to drive, and there's nothing illegal about it. But if you want to drive safely and in the most effective way, the way driving instructors teach people to drive today, drive with 1 foot. It'd be my suggestion. That said, talk to a driving instructor in terms of what the best way for you to drive is. If there's a reason you need to drive with two, then drive with two. But you might find yourself in a collision situation. Josh, who is late to the game, but actually, that was 40 minutes ago. Let's see here. Carl Freeman says, good morning, Sean. Good morning to you. Getting towards good afternoon. In the not too distant future. Do police still dip gas tanks to check if you're using dyed diesel? Police here in Toronto don't do it, but ministry officers who specifically inspect vehicles for that do it on a regular basis. Sergeant Campbell knows an inspector who does just that, from my understanding. So yeah, it's still done. So don't buy farm gas because someone's going to find your purple. Okay. Good morrow. Oh, it's Chase. How you doing, Chase? Good morrow. I'll be back soon. But I have plenty of questions I wrote down in my absence, so please be ready. I am scared. Chase has been otherwise occupied and unable to join us daily on the lives as he so regularly did prior to his occupation of his time. We miss you, buddy. Looking forward to being back with all your wild and stressful questions. He really pushes. He does. He's a smart guy. He does a lot of research and then he finds the most obscure questions to ask. Okay. Oh my God, is he ignoring me intentionally? Now I am. I know we're 40 minutes ago that was asked, but I answered you like 3 or 4 times. I wasn't ignoring you, but you were spamming like wild. Like you might have the best. You may have spammed more than anybody else has spammed on this show. Sean Johnson says, good morning, Sean. There's the correction. Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Sean Johnson. Awesome. I like the live, like the thing. I don't know. The user says something about their broski. Don't understand the context. We're moving on. We covered this already. Automatic. Yeah, I've covered that question. Okay, what happens if I get caught with a radar jammer? Oh, it's a $180 fine, 2 demerit points on conviction. You lose the jammer, we'll take it with us, seize it. It's illegal, not allowed to have it. Radar jammer, radar detector, but also laser jammer, laser detector. Anything that prevents police from doing their job and measuring your speed and enforcing speed laws. Okay. Linda's coming in through Facebook and says, thank you, Hero, everything. Oh, sorry. There's some typos here. Thank you, Hero, for everything. We love you all. And Linda, just some backstory, has been watching our show for years and years and sends love all the time. It's not just me. It's all first responders, and I try and forward Linda's love to all of them through high fives only. There's no hugging. There's no huggy, no kissy. It's just high fives everywhere. But we appreciate you, Linda. Thanks for sending positive messages always. Let's see here. Oh, things are updating. I got to scroll back. Hold on a second here. Where'd it go? And this is the joy of a busy chat room. Things get updated and just everything goes up the screen. It goes, and I see nothing. Well, I see everything, but it's out of order. What do we got? Looking for Linda's message. This is a good time to have a sip of coffee. If my friend gets a ticket in my car, will my insurance go up? No. A ticket is issued to the driver, not the vehicle, and that means that your insurance will not be impacted. If they get into a collision whilst driving your car, then yes, your insurance would go up because you have a claim. Now, if they had insurance in their own vehicle and chose to cover it, then that may change things. But your vehicle, they're speeding in your vehicle, they get a ticket, that's it. They get it, not you. If they go through a red light camera, you get the ticket because you're the owner, but the insurance isn't affected. I got a dad joke from Michaela. Did the jokes get queued? No. So this is Michaela's. So next Monday, a reminder, I mentioned it earlier on. Next Monday, I'm at the Toronto Police headquarters, and I believe it starts at 11 o'clock. We've got a Police Week event. I'll be there live streaming from the event, and of course, I'll be available to say hi if you're in the area, so come on by. But that's that. And then we're looking at Honda dealers. I had to think about it. Honda dealers Indy. For driving skills, I've heard from them. There's discussion, but we don't know if we're going to be able to have an event or not this year. We're working on logistics. Okay. Let's see here. Scrolling. Can we do something about these bright headlights? I'm blind at night these days. The headlight technology is better than it used to be. It is brighter. The bigger issue is not how bright it is. I mean, there is a maximum lumens or maximum intensity. There is a color issue. You can only project white or amber, and people sometimes have these purpley colored lights. Those are not permitted. But it's directing the headlights that's the biggest issue. People who are loading their vehicles and then they're tipping too high if they're not automatic leveling. And they can get improper headlight tickets. They can absolutely be charged. Is it the highest priority on our list? No. What is the fine for driving a former police vehicle with red and blue lights? Just for it. You finally got a question that is not about enterprise. I don't know if you got the answer. You never did rephrase. So what is the answer? If you have red and blue lights that are active on the road, you're looking for trouble. You're going to be charged because those are prohibited for you to use. You can't have a siren installed, but I don't believe there's any law that says you can't have the light there. Now, if you're trying to impersonate a police officer, there's a whole slew of other charges that you might find yourself unhappily receiving. But why would you that shouldn't be on a vehicle that isn't a police vehicle, and expect to be investigated a lot. Not sure which charges I would lay. Depends. If you use them, oh yeah, you're getting it. What do we have here? Yes, Akela, definitely need to talk to Roger, get him on the show. Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the lake. So after, well, I won't bring it up here, but yes, the Lakeshore thing was interesting. I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you. M says, I was just pulled over for going 6 over the speed limit in a 50, and rightfully so, because you were speeding, and it's illegal to speed. There is no reason anyone needs to go over the posted speed limit. In fact, if you get in the habit of doing the speed limit, it's no longer a big deal. If you're used to doing 60, suddenly 50 feels weird in the area that you were used to seeing blurry as you went through at 60, and suddenly you start to notice the roses as you go 50. And same goes for when you're going in a 50 that is now a 40, or a 40 that is now a 30. It's not that bad. It's easy to grow accustomed to not breaking the law. I used to go faster than I do now. I go slower. And I used to think, wow, it's just slow, until I got used to it. And now it's just normal. In fact, I don't even need to look at my speedometer most of the time. I'm doing the appropriate speed. I change the speed, and I've got a good sense of it. I'm usually at or below the speed limit when I look. I check in once in a while. Anyway, 56, yeah. Would I give you a ticket for 56? In a 50, probably give you a warning. Maybe. In a 30 going 6 over, I'd give you a ticket. For sure. Can I change the color of my headlights as long as the color you're choosing is white or yellow? That's the only color you can have, Joey. Is it true that you can have one beer without blowing over? Depends. Everyone's different. I can't tell you yes or no because it depends. Chances are you wouldn't go over. Chances. But you could be the one person who has a different response and hence has a higher reading as a result of your being you. It depends on how quickly you absorb it, how quickly you expel it. Like, everyone's different. At the end of the day, if you're choosing to have an alcoholic beverage, I would choose not to drive. And people usually say, well, a drink an hour, I should be okay. Well, what if you're not okay? You can be impaired even if you're not over the limit. So if you are someone who doesn't drink regularly or you have an allergic reaction to alcohol and you start acting like you're drunk even though you're not over 80, you're going to get charged for impaired driving because that's irrelevant. It's not related to your thing. And if you're a learner, you have more than 0, you're getting your suspension. You're getting charged. Okay. Greg Marshall, you're absolutely right. Most of the time they do remove everything, but some people get really excited about pretending to be police and they put them back on. We're talking about having red and blue lights. Matthew says, good morning. Good morning to you. We got Jacked Up to the Magnificent, says, half these questions can be answered by the driver's handbook. Jeebus. Very often, questions can be found online, but I do understand that not everybody has access, although it is available for free on the internet. It's hard to navigate. Sometimes they just want to hear it from the authority, and I'm happy to be that authority. Hey, don't get rid of my viewers. No, but there's so much information, and sometimes it's confusing. There are law offices that have incorrect information on the internet. They're the lawyers and agents, and their websites have absolutely incorrect information on them. Maybe they're just not good at updating their websites after laws change, or maybe they never had it right in the first place. But we make it a point of giving you the correct information. And should things change, we give you the updates of the new information. And if we're wrong, we come out and tell you we're wrong because we've been wrong before, very rarely. But things have changed, and it's like, I didn't know that. So I gave old information because it changed, and no one sent me the memo. But that's not new. It seems like the ministry sometimes tells us things last. Ministry. What is this? Reminder that we're about 15 minutes behind. Yes. And I'm going long. It's 11:20. Normally we finish the show at 11 o'clock, but I've got a couple extra minutes, so we're going to give them to you. Let's see here. What is this? Oh, can a G1 driver operate an ATV on the road if they directly are supervised by a fully licensed driver? No. You have to be a properly licensed driver. I think it's G2 and above on a ATV that is licensed and insured for the road on certain conditions and on roads that allow them, because there are, like, Toronto does not allow them at all, but certain jurisdictions do. So know before you go, call your local police and verify. That would be my advice to you, because the last thing you want is to have a problem. Just a reminder that if you're watching on, holy moly, we're at 300 people now, 205 people on Traffic Services on X. If you're watching on X, please say hello. Not many people understand that you can go into the live stream, into the chat in the live stream, and participate, getting your questions and comments on screen like everybody else. And as Josh says, please put a Q in the question so I know it's a question for me and not dialogue amongst others. In relation to a comment or a discussion we had a little earlier in the show, dog versus airbag. Airbag wins every time. Fluffy, not going to do well. And there's other reasons. We were talking about having tethered or crated animals. In the event of a collision, windows sometimes break, very often break. Dogs panic. Animals get scared. It's reasonable for them to get scared. What if you are stuck in the vehicle and they run out the window and get hit by a car? You will feel terrible. They will also not be anymore. So protect everybody. You know, kids should stay in the back seat till 14. Animals should always stay in the back. It's just the right thing to do. What? Can I call the non-emergency line to get a dog to sniff my car out to see if there's any drugs or something hidden? Bought my car used and crossed the border, and the dog pulled me in. Not only is that not a non-emergency call, that would be inappropriate. I mean, I'm interested to know if there are drugs hidden in your car, but it could be anything. It could be I'm an avid shooter, marksman. I like going to the gun range. I have had gunpowder residue because of that in the bags. Even when on duty, I've got clothes that I've worn to the range, and if you're making contact with something that goes there, sits on the floor, it's got lead, and those things can trigger. So do I think you've got a stockpile of drugs in your car? I doubt it, but if you go to your local division, don't waste the call takers' time, because it takes 911 operators very often have to answer those phone lines. Go to a local division, ask them there, see what they say. Now I'm really curious. What is the legal age to drive a quad four-wheeler on the road? I believe you have to be a fully licensed or at least G2 minimum driver, so you've got to be 16 at the minimum. Hi wants to know about a shooting that occurred in Toronto. I don't have information on that. 13% of animals die in car collisions that are not protected. Interesting. That's statistics I've not ever looked up. That said, we have done some podcasts with both the OSPCA and the Toronto Humane Society. So if you're interested in that, you can go look at the archives. Old episodes, but still good. Old but good. Can we put a leash that connects to a seat belt button and then transport a pet? Back seat, that is effectively a tether, but the tether's going to be so long that they're going to still move, and that movement within the vehicle is going to get them injured. It may keep them in the car, but they may still get seriously injured. A tether is going to interact with the seatbelt and respond to the stress of a collision, so the seatbelt locks and it keeps them in a short leash, effectively. So get a proper device. Okay. What do we got here? If I just got permanent residency, can I still apply to the Toronto Police Department? Yes, permanent. If you have PR status, you can. Talk to her. First, check out the website, and then talk to a recruiter. But you'd be eligible if you have PR status. A lot of people asking me about Drake stuff. I've not heard anything about Drake. Can you record passengers when you're on an Uber trip? This is a policy thing. I don't know what their policies are. Can you record the inside of your vehicle? Yes, you can. There's no law against it. But can you do? And I'm talking about in Ontario. I don't think that's something that's province by province. I think state by state it does change. When you're in the U.S., there's different laws about consent. That said, check with Uber, because you might find yourself getting in trouble with them. I think they've changed it. I remember some controversy about it a couple years ago, but I think they changed it. They should add governors or put governors on vehicles for high-risk drivers. I think we should have governors for all vehicles. Why does anyone need to be able to go over the posted speed limit? If the speed limit's 110, just like the big rig trucks, if the speed limit's 100, they were given up to 105. Why not make it 105 for everybody? Okay, now the new highest speed in the province is 110. Make it 115. No one needs to go faster. Tell me I'm wrong. Change my mind. Nubs says, no, it's not Nubs, it's NNBS, which I'm not going to try and pronounce. I let my friend borrow my car and he ran from the cops in it, but I got charged with the crime. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Just tell them it was your friend, and you're responsible, but right up until they get to interview the friend, you shouldn't have been charged for that. If you had nothing to do with it, if you didn't know. But obviously they don't believe you, otherwise they wouldn't have charged you. What is stunting? Stunting is a charge that covers a whole bunch of different behaviors, about 15 of them. Everything from doing burnouts and drifting to doing wheelies on motorcycles, speeding over a certain amount of speed. I've got if you go to TrafficCop.ca, I've got a link in useful documents at the bottom, or useful links, describes everything. It's the everything. Let's see here. Greg says hello again. Hello, Greg. How are you? This person now says, I was charged because I decided to lie for him. Is that what you just said? If you lied for him, then yes, you took responsibility for doing the deed. He ran in your car and you just said it was me, not him. That's why you were charged, because you gave evidence. You gave a statement saying it was you. I don't know what the question mark is, because, wow, yeah, if you covered for him, then yeah. Let's see here. How low can your vehicle be to the ground? Cam, check out the light truck and passenger vehicle guide for inspection. I've got a link to it. I believe I've got a link to it on TrafficCop.ca. And it explains that there's a minimum height from the ground to the center of your headlights. That's part of it. The second thing is that Your vehicle has to be able to turn left and right, lock to lock, without making contact with the frame or body of the vehicle. And if it does that, if there is contact, it's an unsafe vehicle, will pull your plates. That's the basics. So do it properly if you're going to lower it. There's nothing wrong with a lowered vehicle if it's done properly. Don't do one of these clown cars that when you try and go up a 2-inch curb, 2 wheels come off the ground. You need a suspension. That would be unsafe if you didn't have a functioning suspension, and we would take your plates for that too. Let's see here. I wonder if this is recorded at the police museum. No, Chris, it's not. Well, first of all, it's live. Hi, Chris. This is a live stream. It takes place at the Toronto Police Traffic Services Unit. We have a studio on the second floor that purpose-built for this live stream. Now, on Monday of next week, I will be at the at headquarters, and it was suggested to me just this morning by a friend of mine from the Police Association that I should stream from within the museum, which is an amazing thing. If you ever get a chance to go, it's free. You can go to the Toronto Police Museum at headquarters, 40 College Street in Toronto. And I mean, they look for a donation, but is it mandatory? I don't think donations are mandatory. Hey, throw a quarter in if you got to. If you can't afford more, anything is help. But you can absolutely go check it out. It's really cool. I know people who have driven 300 plus in the 401 and the OPP won't catch them. What's the point? Well, the OPP got someone a couple years ago doing 305, so the OPP will catch them. We also have helicopters, and that's partially to assist with stolen vehicles. It's also to assist with dum-dums who do 300 plus. And if you know people who have driven 300 plus, tell them that they're idiots. From me, thank you. They're ridiculous. No one should go that fast. They should lose their license for life and spend some time in jail. What is this? Have you or anyone else on your police force ever pulled over another police officer? Absolutely. I pulled over police officers, not in police cars. They were undercover police officers. I didn't realize at the time they were undercover. They did something that caused me to pull them over, and I found out they were police officers on duty working. They continued doing what they're doing. Police officers in the lawful execution of their duties are allowed to do certain things, and one of those is speeding. Let's see here. N55 LOL says, my boy got pulled over because his tires were rubbing with the fender. Absolutely. Robbie says, I see the odd time police officer on their cell phone while driving. Can they be stopped and issued a ticket? Or do they just get a warning if another police officer sees them? Robbie, here's the interesting thing. Police, fire, and ambulance are permitted. The drivers are actually exempt from that law, the distracted driving law. They're allowed to legally use their cellular phone, their laptop, or their handheld communication device, a walkie-talkie, whatever it is. They are legally permitted to use it while they're driving. So are ham radio operators that possess a ham radio license. They're allowed to use their radios and communication devices. There's exemptions. There's a couple of other exemptions, but those are the big ones. So when you see a police officer doing it, I'm assuming they're not ordering pizza and they're actually doing police work because they're allowed to do it. Now, that's not to say they're impervious. Like, if they cause a collision because they're on their phone, they're still responsible for causing the collision. It's not a get out of jail free pass. It means no ticket because they're lawfully permitted to, but we're still responsible for everything we do. But you got to wonder, we're 911. People are calling us for help. We're getting information relayed to us. The radio, people say, well, just use your walkie-talkie. Like, there could be 100 officers in that radio. That's for high-end priority dispatch or quick messages, not for detailed stuff that everybody on the entire radio needs to hear. Maybe it's personal sensitive data. Maybe it's data about someone who's being assaulted, something that we don't want to broadcast. You wouldn't want to be broadcast. So there are times when a cell phone is absolutely necessary. And some cars don't have computers. Some cars rely on that cell phone for dispatch to send call details. And we need that information before we get to the person or the call where someone is in crisis or there's someone with a gun or whatever the case may be. Smoke Time says, are you passionate about talking about this? If you have to ask me that question, you're not picking up what I'm putting down. I am absolutely passionate about it. I am a police geek and traffic nerd. This is absolutely my bag, and I do this every single day. If I wasn't passionate about it, I would have not been able to maintain the rhythm of doing this for like 3 years. It's a lot of work, but I love it. Absolutely love it. Is it illegal to ride with high beams during the day on a motorcycle? I don't think so. Now, fail to use low beam is what the charge would be at night. I don't think it qualifies during the day. And I know that for safety's sake, people do it all the time. In fact, I have a headlight modulator on my motorcycle, which hasn't moved in a couple of years, but it's a headlight modulator, which means it would high beam, low beam constantly while I drive. It's not against the law in the States, and I don't imagine it's against the law here. Am I wearing this down? Am I just opening this too much? No, it's a stopper. Trying to learn how to use my CAA Yeti better. Have I thanked Michael today? Michael gave me this. Michael from CAA. Okay. Colton. Is there anything in the system to show you if we have insurance, aka if we got canceled? We see a not up to the minute update, so if it got canceled, we may not see it immediately, but we would eventually see that it was no longer, or it would have an unverified status. Unverified? This is maybe a different word. In any case, we can see within a certain amount of time if it's active or not. Unconfirmed and confirmed, that's what it is. In any case, we have 3 years delayed charges, so even if we ticketed you today, we have your information. If we check a list tomorrow, and tomorrow it says that you're not insured or you weren't insured on the day that we investigated you, we could come by and charge you, and we would. Can you make a right turn from a bus bay at a major intersection if they have a solid line and green? Green. What? Can you make a right from a bus bay at a major intersection if they have a solid line and green? I'm not picking up what you're putting down. You can't cut off the bus. Can you enter the bus lane? Why would you enter a bus lane? It's a bus bay. If it's the right lane, turning lane, we're talking, I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Ask me again. I know this was at 11:06 when you asked, but or 11:07 when you asked. But if you're still here, rephrase it because I'm not getting it. What do we got here? In follow-up of using high beams for cop doing speed enforcement, what if it's an accident that's on the side of the road? Is that legal to use high beams for? You still shouldn't be high beaming people. I mean, there's lights and flashing lights and flares and all sorts of things that are there to notify people of what's going on the road. I'm not a big fan of high beaming people unless it's something immediate and specific to them, not slowing down a kilometer ahead. Like focus on driving. Don't worry about telling people what's going on. I mean that with the greatest of respect. You are now getting into, I'm going to be the good Samaritan and tell people what's going on. They may just be confused. You may have someone who now is like, are my headlights on? What's wrong with my car? Like they will be totally confused. And you're better off just carrying on and being safe yourself. Is it illegal to have an aftermarket muffler as long as the catalytic converter and resonator are okay? Brody, if your aftermarket muffler is okay and legal, and you have your catalytic converter and resonator, then it's legal. If your aftermarket muffler doesn't meet the requirements of the Highway Traffic Act, doesn't matter that you have everything else, you're still illegal. You're creating unnecessary noise. You can be charged for that under the HTA. And that's any noise that's unreasonable that is considered or not related to the safe operation of your vehicle. If you have a Lamborghini, 12-cylinder bad boy, it's probably not that loud unless you're goosing it. And I say goosing it meaning revving it at high. If you need to goose it or rev high to do 40 kilometers an hour, you're redlining, you're going to get a ticket for unnecessary noise if you're in a Ferrari or if you're in a Honda Civic, because no one needs to redline, right? You're making unnecessary noise. But if you put a fart can on it and it's just making a crappy sounding car that so many people think is cool, yeah, you're going to get a ticket. You are absolutely going to get a ticket. Scrolling back is everything just updated. Are you having fun? I hope you're having fun. We've got 330 people watching on 222 on Traffic Services X, which is awesome. We have 92 people watching on the VoiceOver Cop. This is also awesome. So thanks to everyone who's here. If you don't already follow us, please do. Whatever channel you're on, please follow us. And if you go to TrafficCop.ca, you can see all the other ways of connecting with us and joining up. And I would invite you to do that because the more the merrier. Toiler says, please respond. Toiler says, you are spreading misinformation. Why are you claiming that being 0.0, or it's not 0.8. 0.8 is a lot. You're saying 0.08 is irrelevant? I'm not saying that 0.08 is irrelevant. What are you trying to spread, Mr. Toiler? I don't get what you're talking about. So what is it that you are claiming I am doing? Please educate me. What are you talking about? Toilet is going off, but I don't know what you're talking about. At no point did I say being over 0.08 is irrelevant. That's actually criminal. We arrest you for it. 0.08 is not legal. 0.05 is not legal as well. 0.05 will get you a suspension. So I don't know what you're talking about. But maybe you're taking out of context what I said about being impaired. If you have signs of impairment, even if you have less than 0.05, you can still be arrested for impaired driving. If you are impaired by drugs or alcohol, regardless of the amount of alcohol found to be in your blood, you can still be charged. You can have an additional charge of having over 0.0 or 0.08 and above, different things. 0.8, you're probably dead. That's a lot of alcohol. That's a lot. I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of somebody having an 800 reading. It's possible, I guess. I'm not a doctor, nor am I a breath tech. Let's see here. Scrolling back. Is it illegal to have it? No, we talked about that. My car got impounded for speeding in Mississauga for 15 days. What would the charge to release it be? So you actually got a 14-day impound. It's a provincial 14-day vehicle impound. It's a 30-day suspension. To get it out, I don't know what the impound fees are at the lot that it was taken to. So it's probably gonna be about $1,500, maybe more. It's not cheap. Don't stunt drive. That's the answer. Don't stunt drive. Don't drive impaired. These are the things that lead to serious injury and death. These are the things that lead to getting impounded, and you get to pay for that. It's the privilege of doing what you did to get in trouble. Is it illegal to drive with deleted mufflers but a valve to stop loud noise? Yeah, you have to have mufflers. You can't delete your mufflers. It's against the law. What is this? So alcoholic beverage still have you mean non-alcoholic beverages? They have but it's not, if it's deemed non-alcoholic, if it's under the threshold, it's not considered an alcoholic beverage for the purposes of the laws under the Liquor License Board or Liquor License Act. Khalid has an interesting question that I don't understand. We'll move along. Is driving with no shoes illegal? I certainly grew up, Faith, with that belief. Faith is the name of the user, not my Faith. I grew up thinking that interior lights were against the law, as well as barefoot. And I was wrong on both accounts. My mom told me, turn off the lights or we're going to get stopped by police. And in some states in the United States, it is illegal. And it may be illegal in other provinces as well. But in Ontario, it is not against the law to drive with your interior lights on. It's a bad idea because it interferes with your night vision. Not illegal. And it's not illegal to drive barefoot, but you might hurt your toesies when you slam on that brake pedal in an emergency situation. Bad things happen. Let's see here. Kathrilla says, if you like planes, there's an air show in Trenton, June 29th to 30th. At the air base. Akelo would have mentioned it, but I think his meeting started. Well, thank you for that. I do like air shows. I have not been to the Toronto Air Show. That's my favorite air show. I used to work it as an auxiliary and as a police officer years and years ago, but I have not done it in a long time. Why? I missed one that I wanted to get. Someone said, why are the police on TikTok? Because you're on TikTok. Shouldn't that be a good reason for us to be here? I missed one about motorcycles, and I apologize. There's a threat. Like I'm not going fast enough. They're just stacking up, and they're going off the screen. I missed it. So if there was somebody with a motorcycle logo, they asked a question. I missed it. Hopefully you repeat it. Does Toronto move over law for collision scenes, fire responders on the side of the road? Yes, we do have it. It's not Toronto. It's provincial. It's slow down, move over. It's a provincial law. So not just Toronto. If an officer seizes your plates, you'll lose the plates for good. You got to go reapply for plates. If he sees them or you return them to the ministry, we don't keep them. They go to the ministry, and then you need to go reapply for them. You might not get your plates back. You might get different plates. Chances are you're not getting your plates. Oh, someone asked about G1 driver. Did I catch it? No. No, I got Mir who's asking about domestic violence. No, but let's address it. They want to know if are you part of the 60% of cops that engage in domestic violence or the 40% that enable them? You, Mir, are a silly person. But no, I don't involve myself with anything criminal because I'm a police officer. And the thing is 90% of police officers, if not 99.99%, are amazing. And there's people like you. Okay. And the person who jumped in and said misinformed, that is what they are. Yes, they were. But I like trolls. It means they're having a really bad day. Trolls, here's the thing, and it's something, if you listen to Gary Vee, he says, really, you should have a lot of compassion for people who are trolls because their lives suck. They're here to try and hurt other people to make themselves feel better. And I feel for them. They must be having a really crappy day. And there are ways and people you can talk to get help with whatever that's causing you problems in your personal life. So I do feel for you. I really do. Let's see here. What does the fox say? Greatest song ever. Thank you, Hele Patel, for sharing. I'm not going to try and emulate what that song did. I'm missing so many questions now because it's going through so quickly. I passed a cop at 170 this morning on accident. How come I wasn't wheeled? Maybe they weren't doing speed enforcement, but maybe you should have been arrested. Multiple cops have told me 10 over is fine, but more than that, well, that's their personal opinion. It's not legal. They're telling you that it's okay to break the law, which is not okay. I'll never tell you to break the law because it's illegal, and I'm not going to be responsible for the ticket you get for doing 10 over. You may not get pulled over. It's possible that there are people going faster, and they will focus on the people with the highest risk to the public. So if there's people doing 20, I wouldn't focus on someone doing 10. But if you're the only person, guess what? You're getting the ticket. We got here, Yippee-Ki-Yay says, you should do a spot on City TV, call it, did you know the law, and give them examples and show video of the crime. I think that's a great idea. I think you should call City TV, and I think everyone should call City TV and tell them they need to bring Ask a Traffic Cop for a segment. I've actually spoken to the producers. They want me to write a pitch to them, but we would like to be on City TV. And yeah, we do it on the radio all the time on Jerry Yeager on News Talk 1010. No video on the radio, but it is still a great segment. And we're supposed to do it tomorrow, but I might have to move it to Thursday. Yeah, here we go. Is it illegal to have a vanity plate in the rear windshield? Normal plate is attached to the vehicle. You can't display multiple plates. Now, the one on in the rear window is not where it's legally displayed, but you shouldn't have two Ontario-issued plates. Like fake plates, some people put European plates in the windows. The European plate wouldn't be an issue. If it becomes dislodged and, cuts you as a result of a collision, that would be bad. Someone wants to know about a Kendrick and Drake beef. Is that like a certain food? Or like, is it beef or is it chicken? Is Kendrick, I don't know what you're talking about. I know you're talking about rapper stuff. I don't follow rapper stuff. But I do like steak. And Drake is duck, isn't it? Anyway. Is it illegal to nap in a self-driving car? Obviously, because a self-driving vehicle here is not really self-driving. It is simply driver assist and requires a driver to be in control, to take over. So you'd be charged with stunt driving at the very least. What is this? Is the plate number old sticker should be removed? It's not required to do it. What is Toiler still yapping about? It's not related to being over 8? BS. What? Are you talking about impaired driving? 0.8 is like hospital. That's not drinking and driving. That's medically induced coma, possibly. That's a lot. That's 80% of your blood is. That's a lot. Yeah. So Toiler, I'm going to mute you if you don't stop it because you don't know what you're talking about. And I have responded, but you keep spamming. See, spam. Spam is for the can. I don't need spam, but I was given spam by Achille Draconis. Let's see here. This is a question I wanted to answer earlier, and I went to hit it, but I missed it. Adam Strauss, what happens if you drive on the 400 series highway with a G1? Thank you for asking. There's a condition of a G1 license. Even if you're being supervised by a qualified driver, so your mom, your dad, your cousin, your brother, someone with a G-class license, 4 years experience, can supervise you on roads that have a speed under 80 kilometers an hour, up to 80 kilometers an hour, but not over. And a 400 series highway is over that. It's also strictly prohibited. So the only way a G1 driver can operate a motor vehicle on the road. Hey, Maury Sherman. I gotta hang on a second. Maury Sherman is a producer of a radio show. Hang on. Hello, Maury Sherman. I'm live streaming right now and I'm taking your call. But you're not on the air. Don't swear. They can't hear you. What's happening? So you want me to call you when I'm done, or do you need a? Do, sure. Okay. Okay. Oh my. People are asking me about it on the live stream. I don't actually know anything about it. I would not be the right person, but I can put you in touch with someone who might be able to help you. Text me after. Yeah, give me a call. Give me a text, and I'll see what I can do to find you somebody. Okay. I'll see what I can do. No worries. So that was Maury. He's with 92.5, the Roz and Mocha Show, and he's asking about Drake too, but I have no information about it. But I'll put him on to corporate communications, who might be able to help him. So driving with a G1 on the road. What's the story? G1 on the highway needs a professional driving instructor, a licensed driving instructor, not mom or dad, not friend, not cousin, not brother, not uncle. It needs to be a professional driving instructor from a driving school. They can get you on there. But if you drive with a G1 on a highway and you don't have a professional driving instructor, never mind alone, you still have a proper driver supervising, you're going to get a ticket for driving contravention of a condition of your license, and you're going to get a 30-day suspension for the first time. You get a 90-day suspension for the second time. You get kicked out. You get kicked out of the entire program. Maury just said, "Sorry to interrupt your live stream. I figured he wanted to go on the air. He's a radio guy. These radio guys ready to go on the air anytime." Yeah, but anyway, okay. Where's Toiler? I gotta ban Toiler. Toiler's becoming a toil. Or can I find them? Hang on a second. They're distracting me. They're taking me away from you. Maybe they've given up and gone away because I'm not seeing them in the recent chat. Give you two more. No, maybe they're gone. Maybe they finally left. Amanda says, "Tyler, stop." I agree. Amanda doesn't sound like that, by the way, but I just thought it was. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh my goodness. I'm back at double speed, 24 minutes behind. You are a rock star. Akela, who had a meeting, is now watching us in double speed to catch up to live, which is pretty impressive. And we're almost at 2 hours of live stream. Can I go from G to M2, or do I need an M1 first? No, you have to go to M1. G doesn't give you any benefit there. You have conditions on your M license while operating a motorcycle that don't get attached to the G. A lot of people get this wrong. They believe that they now have to maintain a zero blood alcohol content with their G. If you're over, if you're 22 or over, you don't have to maintain a zero, but you still have to be under the legal limits. But you do have the conditions of zero blood alcohol while you're in an M license. Okay. Why do the police use Freemasonic symbols on their uniforms? Interesting you say Freemasonic, because Freemasonic isn't a word. But there's Masonic and there's Freemason, and that's just funny that you say Freemasonic. But I don't know what symbols they have on the uniform that are Masonic, so you'll have to update me and teach me some things once you figure out what those things are. Okay. We talked about this. Not talking about that because the person's obviously making biased, non-friendly remarks that I don't need to acknowledge. If I have a reckless driving record, can you see that from scanning my license plate? As a matter of fact, I can. Assuming you're the licensed and registered owner of the vehicle, then I would be able to see your history because you're associated with that vehicle. Do you have to stop for a school bus in the opposite lane separated by a median? Yeah, if you're, so here's the thing, it's median, one little piece of concrete does not make for a divided highway. If the roadway is a divided roadway, essentially a one-way road on one side and separated by a grassy knoll or structure or fencing, and a one-way street on the other side, then you don't have to stop for a bus that is active with their lights. But if it's a street, if it's a young street, even if there's a median there where the light standard is, yeah, you have to stop. You cannot pass. You shall not pass. Why has there been so many police investigations and the police are supposed to be arresting the bad? Do you mean police investigations against police officers who are the bad? We have good people, we have bad people. The church has good people and bad people. The government has good people and bad people. Doctors are good people and bad people. There's always going to be some who sneak through that aren't caught until they're caught, and then we find, we charge, and prosecute them. It's the same. They're people. We're people helping people, and there's good people and there's bad people, and we do our best to screen out the bad people. That's why getting onto the police service is so hard. Jenna James says they keep the Drake stuff on the down low. I've been in my little bubble. I work at traffic services. If you ask me about a collision, I can tell you because I know about that stuff. If you ask me about a rapper, I don't know about that stuff because I it's nothing to do with me. JDM says, Uber, you can record your passenger. It's covered under the Fourth Amendment. Fourth Amendment is a very American thing. We don't have a Fourth Amendment in Canada. So I don't know what the laws are here specifically, but I believe you can record. Obviously, clarifying. In the States, absolutely. By the way, if you're in the States, shout out to the States. I like the States. I look forward to visiting the States again. I used to live in Florida. Okay. How long does a speeding ticket stay on your record? The ticket stays in your current record for 3 years from the date of conviction, whereas the points stay on your ticket or on your record for 2 years from the date of the offense. Is that right? Yeah. And all right. Interesting question. Brody wants to know if I have a DUI, can I operate construction vehicles on private property? And I think you're disqualified from all motor vehicles. I don't think it matters if you're on the road or not. I would say no. I wouldn't do that. I would get very specific instructions from your lawyer because my understanding is you would be prohibited from doing it. They may talk to your lawyer, but there might be ways of doing things where you have specific permissions whilst working, but I don't think that's a thing. I think it's a thing you should ask about. I don't know if it's an actual thing. The stuff that happens after conviction isn't my department, but I would get very clear instructions and get it in writing. Otherwise, you could find yourself being charged for offenses, which you don't want. What is this? Okay. Moving along. Can I drive my drag car on the main? They don't corner very well, do they? Brody's accusing Toronto people of not being smart. Well, you know what? There are people from all over the world who watch this show. A lot of them are in Toronto, and a lot of them are across Canada. People who just don't know about what our laws are because the laws are different in every province. And as you can see from previous questions, we have people in the States too. So this is a big question answer place, which is pretty awesome. But no question is a bad question. Actually, there is one question that is a bad question. It's the one that was never asked because people get tickets for things they just didn't understand. By the way, if you're not already following us, please do. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. And I'm here every single day, except tomorrow and Thursday, to answer your traffic and police questions live on the internet. I'm actually glad that we went long today because I won't be here tomorrow. I've got some stuff and things to do off duty. So I've taken the day off. And on Thursday, I will be speaking to 300 people from a particular company about traffic safety, which I'm really excited about. It's the first time we're doing it, which is awesome. Awesome that companies are, and this is anyway, we'll get into it, but it's awesome that employees are interested in the safety of their employees. So we're going to talk to them about stuff and things. I talk to the military all the time, and hopefully we continue to talk to major companies about safety because there's so many companies that drive around on our streets and haven't had the opportunity to hear me tell them what they should and shouldn't do. So this is awesome. So that's what's happening in the morning on Thursday. And I might be able to do an afternoon segment when I get back, maybe, possibly. If not, I'll be back on Friday. And that's a thing. Okay. Okay, TMAC. This is a really good question that people get really, really upset about. I got a failure to produce insurance even though I told the officer I just needed a sec to pull it up. A sec has to be reasonable. So if I say license, ownership, and insurance, and I give you the time that it takes us to have that conversation, and you just can't find it, I can't sit at the side of the road in traffic waiting for you to dig through all your documents, all your emails, all your things, whatever you're using to locate it. If you fail to surrender it in a reasonable amount of time for inspection of a police officer, you're going to get the ticket. I'm going to go back to my car. I'm going to issue the ticket, and that's it. And I appreciate that you may have had it, and they would have just given you one more minute. You might have found it. Here's the deal. Either you need your document on your person, provided to the officer, with your license, the actual license, and either an original or a photocopy of your it's either a true copy front and back of your registration or the original. Now, the electronic one, you need to use the app provided by your insurance company. It has to be a secure app, not going to their website, not going to your email, not picking up a PDF. It has to be through a secure app on your phone. That should be something you should be able to do in like 2 seconds. If you can't do it, you didn't provide it in a reasonable amount of time. 2 seconds is an exaggeration. Kylek says, can't beat the radio even if the officer can't catch you. Yes, and we don't want to chase you. People think that, we're not chasing, we're not interested, or we're easy to beat. No, here's the deal. We don't want to put lives at risk, yours or anyone else's. People run from the police, they panic, and they end up crashing into stuff. And then they crash into people and they kill people. So when we can, helicopter goes up and we don't need to chase. Or if we can identify the vehicle, we'll just meet you at your house. Sometimes, there could be major stuff going on and we need to stay after you longer until such time as we can prevent you from doing. Or we have situations where you need to be stopped. You actually need to be stopped because you're going to hurt somebody. So there's all sorts of different things. At any given moment, a stop can be called off by any person on the radio, any supervisor, any dispatcher, any police officer on the road listening in. That's our policies. We can shut it down because at the end of the day, safety for all is what's most important. Okay. Crazy Kenny says, yeah, won't answered. Answered what? If you missed the part about I'm not seeing all questions because they're coming in so quickly I can't keep track of them, I'm grabbing as much as I can and jumping into them. It's shame Dodge Diplomat is preserved over a Chevy Caprice. Oh, you know what, Mopar man? I wish we had all of one of every single car. York Regional Police just did a TikTok recently, and they actually did a really cool transition between cars. But they missed out my favorite one, which is the one I used to own, which was a 90s Caprice bubble. Did you remember that? Anybody remember the 90s Caprice bubble? I owned one. I drove one as my daily driver for a while when I was it was my winter beater, and I rode motorcycle all summer. Can people be pulled over for left lane camping? Yes, they can. But I would never pull over someone who's doing the speed limit in the left lane. I'd always pull over the speeder in the left lane. If someone's doing 60 in the left lane in a 100 zone, I would absolutely pull them over. But I will not pull someone over for doing a legal limit. Why do you need a license for a ham radio? It's the law. I don't know. I didn't make the law. I have no idea why. Maybe because they're higher. Like you need a license for a commercial radio because I think it's the wattage. So as I say, I don't know why. Now I realize I might actually know why. So FRS radios, those family channel radios, are a specific channel and a specific power. They did boost the power. I think they got some high-powered ones. Maybe in the States they're more popular. But you get into ham radios, they can be super, depending on the type of license you have, you can be doing 100-watt radios, I think, and talk to people in Japan from here. You need to understand the science of it. You need to understand and be responsible for it. So it's a thing. It's a thing. A trucker can use a CB radio while driving. Yes, I believe they can. Originally, it was a temporary thing, and I reported it. It was one of those things I said, okay, I've made a mistake before. I was telling people you could absolutely not use it because I didn't realize they changed and extended it. So yeah, a commercial vehicle operator can use a walkie-talkie for certain things. There is a condition there. Let's see here. More unmarked cars on the highway for dangerous drivers? How about just more police officers in general? We are tremendously understaffed. So come and join us. Apply for the job. We need more. How long can I drive without a license for? Not at all. You cannot drive without a license. It's kind of why you need a license. I like the troll here, Mac Daddy. Where should I keep my keys when I go to bed? I'm assuming you're trying to troll, but I will walk onto this landmine and tell you the truth. We have people who will break into your house to get your keys. if they want your keys, have continuously suggested this for a number of years now, you should leave them near the front door because we would prefer they take your car. You should still do all the preventative measures of trying to make your vehicle less attractive to would-be thieves. But if there's someone who's going to already break into the house to take the car because they want the keys now, they want the whole enchilada, we'd rather them take the keys and go, take the insured vehicle, rather than assaulting you and possibly doing worse. Because these are armed bad persons who are there to steal your stuff and they're willing to beat the crap out of you to get it. And that's the problem. We want to, it's harm reduction. But people like to make the media really screwed that up. They took one statement and spun it to get likes. And then they said, what a joke. I can't afford my insurance because nobody's doing anything about car theft. You're wrong. We're shutting down organizations. But guess what? There's lots of organizations. And we shut down one, the vacuum creates a new one. What is this? Can I drive a vehicle that's not insured but not mine? Sorry, that is insured but not mine. So, what? Can I drive a vehicle that's not insured but not? No, you can't drive a vehicle that's not insured. I thought you were actually telling me what I needed to hear. So, if the vehicle's not insured, it can't be on the road at all. If the vehicle's insured by your friend, it's your friend's vehicle, you can drive it if you're a licensed operator and for the appropriate vehicle that you are licensed to operate. So if you have a car that requires a G-Class license, it's your friend's and you have permission to drive it, it's properly insured. And if you're a licensed driver, you can operate that car. You can borrow it. Mopar man like the aftermarket fart can. That's what I call it. I call these are fart cans. Silly little aftermarket cans. Someone on my street always blows stop signs and school buses. Stop. What can we do? Report it to your local authorities. If you're in Toronto, go to tps.ca and you can do online reporting of vehicles there. We can find out if it's a neighborhood thing or a specific vehicle, but let us know because we start an investigation. And we may be putting a local officer there to check it out. Like if it's happening every day at 6 a.m, put it in there because we can try and be there to catch them. It's unlikely we can actually, it's unlikely that we can lay charges based on video and definitely not just simply because you said so. But if we can get there to keep track of what's going on, watch it for a few days, then maybe we'll catch them in the act. Okay. How long? So I can't put it on screen because it skipped already. But it was how long after a night of drinking can I drive? I've arrested people the following day, 9 a.m. on the way to work after a bender the night before, and they were still over the legal limit. Like they drank a 2-4 that night. And then they went to sleep for a few hours and got up to go to work. And then they rear-ended somebody. And they went, I don't know why that happened. I'm like, maybe because you're impaired. And they were. So there's no specific amount of time. Everyone's different. And you need to be sober to drive, not have had a certain amount of time to drive. So plan your life appropriately. If you're going to drink, don't make any plans to drive. Let's see here. My daughter was pulled over with another vehicle speeding. He was blowing past her. Okay. It's possible that they were both pulled over because were they both charged? Is that what you're telling me? Or one person was passing and one person was doing the legal limit? I don't know what they used to determine who was doing what. Do bottles of alcohol have to be transported in the trunk or only out of reach? Depends. If they're sealed from factory, they can be transported anywhere. If they've had the seal broken, then they have to be either in a bag out of reach or in the trunk. Is it safe to let somebody else use my motorcycle helmet as my passenger? Well, you need your motorcycle helmet as the rider. So then you need to have a second helmet for a passenger. And really, helmets need to fit the rider. It's such a thing. If you've got a big noggin like me, then my helmet would look ridiculous on, someone I would put in the back of the helmet. They'd be able to turn it around and cover their face. So no, you should have someone riding should ride with the appropriate sized helmet. And I've always had multiple helmets for passengers when I was younger. I had a small, medium, large that I picked up. They weren't the highest end, but I had options. So if I took passengers, I had the appropriate type. Legally, can you have an ill-fitting helmet? Yeah, legally, you're wearing the helmet. If it's not worn properly, could it be a charge? It could also be a charge. But ideal versus minimum requirements, that's going to be up to you. When your friend gets killed because you didn't do it right, you're going to have some guilt. Okay. I don't know what that message said. Grinch says Barrie has an air show coming up. Cool. Barrie's not that far from me. So it's a Toronto-centric-ish thing. I can visit some friends in Barrie that I haven't seen in ages. Talk about electric scooters, sir. What would you like to know about electric scooters? E-kick scooters, I think is what you're talking about. E-kick scooters are under a pilot in some jurisdictions in Ontario, but Toronto's not one of them, even though you see them throughout the city, causing havoc everywhere. There are very specific requirements in order to be covered under the pilot. And every municipality had to opt in. Toronto didn't because the number of people getting injured as a result of the use of these devices is quite high. So not to strain hospitals, they said, we don't want it. But people ignore it and still do it. Is there enforcement? Yeah, you can get a $110 fine for using a scooter in the city of Toronto. If your scooter is capable of going more than 24 kilometers an hour on a flat surface, that's not a scooter anymore. That gets to be a motor vehicle, needing license, ownership, and insurance. If it has a seat on it, it's a motorcycle. So even if it does 24K, even if it does 10K, it's got a seat, it's a motorcycle. Yeah, $25,000, $5,000 to $25,000 in fines, not a good look. Those scooters, I've seen them capable of doing 90 kilometers an hour. We have e-bikes on the road capable of doing the same, if not faster. They're motor vehicles. It's like saying, I have a Tesla, but I only drive it at 24 kilometers an hour or 32 kilometers an hour. I shouldn't need to pay insurance. But that's what's happening. You have vehicles that are capable of going wild and crazy speeds, and they're not paying for insurance, not contributing to the roads, just putting lives at risk, theirs and others. Okay. Is there any laws about tinting headlights? Absolutely. Tinting headlights is prohibited. You can't put covers, can't tint them at all. Taillights have to be discernible, or clearly discernible, at 150 meters. That's based on the officer's observations. I was behind a Jeep at Vaughan Mills, and I was like 10 feet away from it, and I couldn't tell whether the lights are on, off. They were so dim. So those are absolutely $110 for the front, $110 for the rear. Absolutely against the law. Lauren says, I haven't heard that in forever. What? I don't know what you haven't heard. And that's a while back, 11:45, you left that message. But now, because of the delay, I just don't know what we're talking about. Let's see here. Say you got the wrong, what is this? Say you got wrong plate on bike if cops don't take it when they pull you over and it's 200. I don't understand the question, Cole. Not picking up what you're putting down. What's the difference between a stunt driving charge and a careless driving charge? One is stunt driving, comes with an immediate 14-day vehicle impound, comes with a 30-day license suspension. On conviction, you would get a 1 to 3 year driving prohibition, $2,000 to $10,000 fine, up to 6 months in jail, and then 6 demerit points as well. Second conviction, you'd get 3 to 10 year suspension, and third, you'd get kicked out for life. Careless driving is just $400 or $500 and 6 demerit points. So totally different. Now, originally, no, I was going to go with cell phone. Wrong thing to say originally too. Anyway, moving on. Can you eat your hamburger and drive at the same time? Depends on your hamburger. If it's an ooey gooey greatness, it might be an issue. You know, you're dripping all over yourself. You're dabbing your shirt, and you're not focused on the car in front of you. You drive into it, or you're swerving all over the place. That could absolutely be an issue. Could be careless driving. And if it's not, like you're just having a clean burger, it may not be an issue. Depends. It's not a specific law. How do we ask you questions? You just did. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. How versed are Canadian police officers in law? Fairly well versed. Are we lawyers? No. We specifically, we focus on the things we focus on. I'm a traffic specialist. I could not tell you about abductions and drug things. That's just not my thing. I would tell you to go to speak to another officer about that. What if I'm a G2 driver without insurance? Abdi, what? I don't. You need to ask me a whole question, not just part of it. Talked about that. Oh, I see. JDM sent me a message through Linktree. Cool. Oh, ages ago? I don't know how many ages ago. I get a ton of messages, so I'm cycling through them. So if you sent me a message through TrafficCop.ca, I do get through to you. Someone is going to Disney. So that was my producer friend. He's going to a Disney something. I don't know what Disney he's going to. Maybe there's a Disney thing in Toronto. Oh, apparently he was loud enough to be heard on the radio from the phone, but that's okay. Let's see here. Nothing he said is a concern. Let's see here. Someone is stealing my car? I don't know what stealing your car is. Does Toronto have a, what is this? I don't know what you're talking about. Is illegal to have, we talked about that already. No, don't know about that. Moving along. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. This is great. What made me choose TSV? When I joined the police service as an auxiliary officer, I was identified as a motorcycling guy because I had my motorcycle license. And I was recruited directly to traffic services back then because they wanted people who could ride motorcycle. When I became a police officer, I asked to come back to TSV because I had volunteered for TSV or at traffic services in one way or another for 12 years. It's where I wanted to be. I loved it as an auxiliary, wanted to come back here. I went to 12 Division because why would you go where you want to go? It doesn't always work out. They put you where they need you. So I didn't get to come to TSV, but then they centralized traffic units across the city. Instead of having divisional traffic, all of those officers came to the city. Well, I had an interest in traffic, so I was working traffic at 12 Division. And then when they amalgamated or centralized, I came down here. So, but I think traffic is the best. You get to help people, regular people. You get to help work, make the roads safer. And again, people are impacted. We see on average the same or more people killed as a result of collisions on the road than crime. So it's a thing. But I think it's the greatest thing. It's the best kept secret. Hey man, I'm behind your office right now. Like right now? That's awesome. What is this? What if I drive with a learner class 7? What if, if you drive so if a class 7 is the same as a G1, I don't know what it's going to be there, but here, if you drive with a G1 unaccompanied by a qualified driver, you're looking at a 30-day suspension as well as a charge for $110 for drive G1 unaccompanied. So it's pretty serious. Second time, you get a 90-day suspension. Third time, you get kicked out. You lose all your time. So I assume it's the same thing there or similar, but I don't know where there is. Where are you? What province? That's so funny. Akela's finally at full. Who's better, the CIA or FBI? I work in Canada. Neither of them have anything to do with me. But they're both cool. One's internal and one's external. CIA handles operations abroad. FBI handles operations within the country. That's my understanding. One is an intelligence service. One is a bureau of investigation. Let's see here. This is a great question. What do responding emergency vehicles do when a school bus is dropping kids off? Well, quite frankly, stop. They have to stop. Now, legally, they have no authority to cross the red light. But I can tell you that our lights and sirens are going. Bus drivers, please pay attention, because if we are trying to get somewhere to save the day in our own special way, when lives are at risk and waiting for assistance, get the kids back in the bus, turn off your lights. Now, I will not say that police officers won't go through. They'll make a decision. They will do what they have to do to get to where they're going based on priority. You have an officer assist call. There's somebody with a gun. We're going to go. We're going to take that risk very often. Is it legal? No. Would any one of my colleagues, including myself, say, I did what I thought was right at the time because I'm trying to go save lives? Yeah, we might go through that red light. And if we get in trouble for it, they'll take the 8 hours out of my pay and give me a ticket or whatever. I'll wear it. Saving lives is a priority. Is it the right thing? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But the best ideal situation would be to have the bus driver collect the kids, make it safe. And we're going to try and make it absolutely safe before we go. But technically, we're supposed to stop. Here was the, no, this is what it was. No, it's this one. Manda. So we talked about this already. How long after a night out? Depends. Everyone's different. I can't give you a number. What's the BAC limit and requirements in Ontario? So 0.05 is when you get a warning. You get a 3-day suspension on your first. You get within 10 years another one. You're going to get a 7-day suspension, and then I think it escalates to 10. Or I've never had anybody go more than 7, and I can't remember what it is offhand. But 0.05 to 0.079 is a warn range, and if you are 0.08 and above, you are now criminal charges. 0.049, that's technically legal to drive with that, but you may be impaired, and there could be criminal charges still based on your behavior, but not simply on the number. There would be no charges for 0.049. Okay. This is wild. Just wild. Excellent. 405 people watching right now. Primarily 250 people on traffic services. So that's awesome. Welcome to everybody. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We're so glad you're here. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. If you're watching on whatever platform you're using, please follow us. Please like, subscribe, share. It really means a lot to us. Let's see here. Jay wants to know why we can't have a tinted windshield, but we can have all other windows tinted. Well, the windshield is prohibited in Ontario from being tinted. Some provinces allow it, some states allow it. But there's no reason you should prevent yourself from being able to see. See, light comes through the window, hits your eye, and then the sciencey stuff of the magic of your eye works to actually see stuff. You reduce the light, you reduce your ability to see. Simple as that, especially at night. Now, it was originally, you were allowed to have a 3-inch tint strip across the top. That changed. So any vehicle manufactured 2017 or newer can't have anything. But that's the deal. 30% light blockage is the maximum on the windows left and right of the driver, and the back windows can have it as dark as you want. But even if it's 30%, you can still get a ticket for obscuring the interior of your vehicle with a color or reflective tint. You can't have anything reflective in the windows left and right of the driver, or the windshield for that matter. Has a cop ever ticketed someone for not yielding to a bus? Absolutely. Oh, for bus cutout? Yeah, absolutely. Julie Mango. Absolutely. Is it the highest priority that we focus our efforts on? No. We look for the big four. We're looking for people who are choosing to make the roads most unsafe. Now, that's unsafe too, but it's not, again, if we see it, we'll deal with it, but we're not staking out bus stops. And I think you're talking about returning from servicing a bus. All right. Trying to catch up to current, but I can't get over how busy it's been. I'm not seeing questions from X. If you're watching on X, and there's a whole bunch of you who are, please go into the actual live, click into the live, and then in the chat, say hi. I just want to make sure it's working properly. Actually, I know how to make sure it's working. Let's do this. Let's go into the live. And I just realized I stood up a meeting because I've been so busy doing this. I stood up Malik. I said, I'll be done by 11:30, and here I am like an hour longer than I said I would be. Okay. I'm going to go into the live. Let's do this. Testing. Actually, Garfield did, or Griffeld. Okay. I said testing, so anyone in there should see it. All right. I got to scroll way, way, way down, and I have to cut things off. 2.5 hours is a very long live. It's been a lot of fun, and it's got great numbers, so I'm so happy people are here. It's fantastic. See, it is working. There's my message from X. In any case. What is the process for applying to TPS? Go to tps.ca/. Yeah, careers. I just read this one. It says, we're lucky. Sean goes over by an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, I've only done this once before where I did a 2.5 hour live. But with that, I feel bad ignoring like 100 messages here. But I need to contact Malik and apologize for not being with him an hour ago. All right. With that, I am going to see if any dad jokes. Dad jokes. Where are you? I don't see a dad joke. Oh, wait, maybe I got it in the Telegram group. Hang on a second. We have a Telegram group, telegram.TrafficCop.ca. You're welcome to join and continue the conversation with Akela and the gang. That's a Michael, and that's a whole bunch of people. Okay, hang on a second. Let's see if there's a dad joke. 45 unread messages. Manda, hey Manda, looking for dad jokes. I don't see dad jokes. All right. We're going to go. What can I play? Can I play a different song? I could play a different song. We'll do the Highway Havoc we did this morning. So I'll say goodbye and play. No, I did Road of Frustration this morning. So we'll play Highway Havoc now. Catch you later, everybody. I'll be back on maybe Thursday afternoon, but definitely Friday for Friday. Have a good one. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, and smile because guess what? It looks good on you.
Speeding down the road like a bullet from a gun. Thought you were invincible, but you're not the only one racing through life, leaving safety behind. But you ain't the king of the road, you're just out of your mind. Distracted on your phone, not a care in the world. Blinded by the screen like your vision's been unfurled. You think you're so important, can't leave it all alone. But you're putting lives at stake, just hang up that damn phone. Highway havoc, I've had enough. It's time to wake up, get your act together. Tough, aggressive drivers, weaving in and out. This ain't no video game, this is what it's about. Highway havoc, I've had enough. It's time to wake up. Get your act together. Tough, aggressive drivers, weaving in and out. This ain't no video game, this is what it's about.
I have so much fun making AI generated music. I can't even say, I put in like a prompt, like ChatGPT, and it makes songs. I'm always amazed by this. Anyway, have a great day. Be well. See you Friday, maybe Thursday. And come to headquarters on Thursday morning. I'll be there. We're going to be doing the police week stuff and things. Have a great day.